What is going on, everybody? Happy Halloween. It is episode 235 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Halloween, firstly. We have a spooky Crisis party today. If you didn't see in the chat, you can see what it is when it happens, okay? We're not going to spoil it.
It scared me a little bit when we tested it.
Yeah, it scared me too. So, there's a little teaser for you.
Yes, it's very good.
And it's very fitting that we're talking about The Witcher today.
Yeah, that's right on brand, actually. And we have a guest host here today. Would you introduce yourself, sir?
You mean main guest
host? That's what I mean.
You're scaring me.
Hey guys, Dane Fon here, marketing man extraordinaire, and the patron saint of White Boy Summer. I actually had a costume, but then we realized it's wildly inappropriate.
Yeah,
oh, really? You changed your mind on that?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
All right.
I think he's just shy. Personally, I saw it. I think he was just shy. That's just me. You'll have to maybe check his premium Snapchat or his OnlyFans if you want to see that. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We are going to talk about The Witcher, Henry Cavill leaving, and the bizarre choice that's being made on who to replace him with, at least in my opinion, a little bit bizarre. All the drama that kind of surrounds it. It's kind of fascinating when you think about the history of characters being replaced in shows, things like that. We are also going to talk about Tim Robbins, who is a director. He directed one of my mom's favorite movies, and I didn't even realize it, called Bob Roberts. I don't think I ever saw it, but he had some stuff to say about COVID protocols and how they relate to the death of art, which I found absolutely fascinating. And then we are also going to talk about another director who has an upcoming movie called Armageddon Time, and he has some thoughts on the ability to cast non-Jewish actors in Jewish roles. It's a very interesting and nuanced take that he has on that, and I'm excited to talk about that. We got Podluck. We got a bunch of other stuff, so if you guys are ready, we will just get right into it. Mary, are we ready?
So ready.
Dane?
You know it, babe.
Like a main guest host agrees. All right.
Also, leave in the chat what your Halloween costumes are.
Yes, please let us know what your... I asked last Friday, I said, what was your most offensive Halloween costume? I asked
Mine was
chat.
Prisoner. Myself. Apparently that's not appropriate anymore.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
Politically incorrect.
That's politically incorrect.
Why?
Because of the disproportionate rates
It's about like
of
mass incarceration. Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
School to prison pipeline. All right, so it says Henry Cavill's Witcher exit, and then they're asking, is it related to Superman? Is it related to drama in the show? We may never know, but it's an interesting thing to consider when you think about the idea that there was already rumblings well before this show came out that he was having problems behind the scenes with the creators of the show based on his love of the source material and their kind of willingness to go over the source material in favor of their own stuff. Right?
Yeah, we saw a former producer talk about how the people in the writer's room for The Witcher actively disliked the books and games that this show was based on, whereas Henry Cavill was a super fan. And that likely caused some friction behind the scenes because he wanted this character to be as true to the source material as possible, and he had to actively go against the scripts that they were trying to write for him that made him less serious in tone. They wanted it to be more humorous, and he wanted his character to be philosophical and serious and nuanced.
There's humor in, like, I never got through The Witcher, but I started rewatching, like, I made it through the first couple of episodes and started rewatching those and made it up through episode 6 this weekend just in preparation for this. It's I've said before 1,000 times, high fantasy isn't really my thing, but Cavill's great in this role. It's also quite a departure from Superman or his other roles, so I actually enjoyed what I was seeing. But there's humor that's interjected there, but it's more of a dark humor related to the swearing and everything. And there's a lot of puking in The Witcher. That's what I know. The first thing I noticed in the first few episodes is just, holy crap, a lot of people throw up on this show.
What a legend, though, if he did leave the show for that. I think we should change the chat meme to Henry Cavill.
When you think about it, does anybody like buy a sports team and not like the sport they buy? Like, I'm trying to think of like another analog in another industry where you go into something that you actively don't like so that you can change it.
Well, here's the thing. There are career screenwriters. They're not going to be fans of everything that they write if it's derivative of an existing franchise. I totally understand that, and I don't totally sympathize with calls to hire super fans for every derivative TV show or movie. It's not possible. It's just logistically impossible to find screenwriters who are all super fans and super knowledgeable
And
about the
talented.
source material and are talented and good at what they do.
Knowing the source material and being a competent screenwriter are two different things. And adapting is not the same thing as writing a unique script. They're different.
But how long would it take? How long does it take to read one of the books? You know, this is what I'm saying. Like, a weekend, 2 weekends. You know, like do your job.
But even then, like, no, say they have, right? If they don't feel an attachment to the material, they're just going to look at it as a chore and they're going to throw it out anyway. Similar to what they were doing with the Last of Us and telling them not to play the games before doing the show.
Well, what they're going to do is if they do their research and read the books, play the games, then they're going to find what they feel needs improvement and use the show to make all of those improvements they think it needs. If they're not the fans,
at least they will have a point of reference of what to improve on. Here they're just, I don't know what they're basing their references on beyond visuals.
well, in order to dislike it, you have to at least give it a try. And it sounds like, from what the former producer was saying, they were vaguely familiar with the source material. They read it, whatever, given it a cursory glance, and then chose the parts of it that they felt needed a change or a refresh and used the show to do that.
So it says, so when did Henry Cavill decide to leave The Witcher? That's a big question that we may never know the answer to. We can only make an educated guess. His departure came alongside news that Geralt had been recast as Liam Hemsworth. Of all people...
So the timeline, people are working out that he might have had 1 foot out of the door for The Witcher before he even got the go-ahead that he was back as Superman, showing that it was actually just these spiteful writers involved in The Witcher that drove him away and decided that they could do it without him, which is a death sentence for the show.
Yeah.
He is a make-or-break character that's basically carrying this show.
Oh, yeah.
And the fans are willing to say that. They said that they're going to stop watching it. Replacing the main character is a death sentence for the show's ratings.
Also, it should be pointed out that Death Knell does not have to come in season 4. Knowing that he won't be around after season 3 may cause people to check out even before they watch the final season with him in it.
And you know, it really shows that they don't know the source material with the substitution, because it's what I feel from this, and I don't want to like talk mess about the guy, but it's just like, and we change Henry Cavill for a strong-chinned individual. Woo! It's like
it's kind of insulting to Henry Cavill as well.
He really does look like the Borg created a mix of both Chris Hemsworth and John Krasinski, and then threw in a little Chris Pine with the hair, and that's how they got Liam Hemsworth.
He's like
he is related to Chris.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, but he's also got John Krasinski chin. He's
like a mech actor, like a McDonald's combo actor. Because so the only thing that I know him from is the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And to my interpretation, it's like, oh yeah, he's handsome enough for the female protagonist, isn't he? Like that was his role.
He's just kind of a filler character.
Yeah.
I remember very clearly when the original announcement was made that they were making a Witcher series. The name that a lot of people were floating around was Mads Mikkelsen. Was a name that people were throwing around early on. And that would be interesting because they already used him as a replacement for another character, being Gellert Grindelwald. Are they both? Oh, they're not both. Are they both Gellerts? No. Okay, never mind. Geralt and Gellert are close enough.
I thought it was Geralt.
Now, but they already used him as Grindelwald in in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, so they could have Mads Mikkelsen come in and clean up for another actor that just this one left on his own rather than leaving in disgrace like they unfortunately pushed Johnny Depp out.
Well, I wonder if Henry Cavill just sprung this news on them short enough notice that they couldn't have set up the 3rd season to close out.
Yeah, well, no, I think they said that they have to do 5 for this one, or they had 5 planned or something like that.
If you have 5 planned, that's one thing, but if they're like contractually obligated to do 5, then they have to recast.
I also want to point out how bizarre that is, given that Netflix has always been cancel happy once shows get around season 3.
Yeah,
shows get into season 3 and like the ban hammer, the cancel hammer is coming for you on almost all occasions. And in this one, of all the series,
but you know, it's better to cancel early on than ruin it and close out your script.
I think it has something to do with residuals.
You disagree? It's better to cancel early than ruin it for the end.
My thing is, if the real excuse is that, oh, it's because I'm so excited about Superman, delay the series.
Right, but that's not.
Unless the contract is
the-
like it has to come out in X and Y. And I understand that some people contractually cannot talk mess about the project that they're in. And
Right.
this may be one of those situations, even though he's pretty much openly hinted at the fact. I'm pretty sure I saw an interview where he was talking about how obnoxious people thought he was on set, because he would clarify. He was like, well, actually, this wouldn't be the character's motivation.
Right, but you wouldn't need to have those arguments about what's appropriate for the tone of the show if you had just written it in a way that was true to the source material in the first place. And you didn't need to hire a super fan to play the main character anyway, right? So he can't be blamed for that. And what I'm wondering is, maybe they had more of a problem with him staying on the project than he wanted to leave. Maybe they refused to work with his Superman schedule as a way to, soft fire him from this role, because they have they feel he is hard to work with.
Yeah.
But he was willing to stay as long as they could accommodate him.
That would be absolutely wild, because the only thing you associate with the show is him.
Right. It's extremely entitled of them.
No other character, no other performance, not even a scene. I don't know. I think has gone viral. Everything is Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Looking like The Witcher. That's it.
And I know that interest for this show, as far as I remember, dropped off a cliff in season 2. I remember there being high excitement for season 1. It did fine, and then season 2, I don't remember anything really. I remember the animated movie had a little bit of. They did like an animated movie in between season 1 and 2, I believe.
Everything was a little padded though during that time. Wasn't it during pandemic time?
It probably came out at the start of 2022 or 2021.
Season 1.
Season 2.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like season 1 was probably padded with like people at home.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll watch
Having
this.
Few decisions. Yeah. I think that's why Enola Holmes 1 did well, too, because it came out during COVID, right in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
And Henry Cavill's in the sequel, which just came out for Enola Holmes. He's on kind of a press tour. There's a lot of eyes on him, and it's extremely telling that the people running The Witcher are willing to kick him out the door, supposedly, just because he is running headlong with their desire to completely subvert this franchise.
Do you guys remember when us as a species chose to care about Tiger King?
Oh, yeah.
That was early pandemic. That
I was there.
I never... Did you watch it?
I watched it.
Did you watch it too, Brett?
I just followed. I mean,
Okay.
I was pretty stuck in social media at that time. So all you endured for like a couple of months was Tiger King memes.
Like, it wasn't even funny to me. I never gave in and watched it. I'm proud of that to this
I don't
day.
think it was a funny show. I think it was like kind of a weird, odd, tragic.
It's dark.
Yeah, it's
like
very
I wasn't
dark.
really interested in a story like that.
Like the guy from that show is still on TMZ from time to time, like getting married from jail and stuff like
Serious?
that.
Isn't he in jail?
Yeah, he's in jail. He got married in jail and then like divorced in jail or something like that.
I'll never financially recover from this.
Did they make a Tiger King dramatization? That's in the works, right? I vaguely remember someone saying that there was a Tiger King dramatization.
It's not out yet.
Like that could come out with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
At the same time as
the
a
same
second
time,
pandemic.
Johnny Depp could play Joe Exotic.
Oh, and this lady
Johnny
can play
Exotic.
Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
Who
and
would play Carol Baskin?
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard could. Oh no, she's too pretty to play.
She's way too pretty.
Carol Baskin.
Like if they could put put her in a. I guess it wouldn't be a fat suit. It'd be like an overweight suit,
Who should
a
they
mildly
get?
overweight suit, and then have her. Play.
You're good at casting. Who should they cast?
Carol, the girl from, hold on, from Justified.
I have one, but I
Oh,
don't know if
yeah.
it's insulting. The
Go ahead.
older sister from Full House.
No.
I tried.
I can't think of her. You know what I'm talking about, right? The older lady.
Well,
from-
if they're
from
gonna
Justified.
cast her as like prettier than she actually is,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow.
No, we got to go bigger than that. I can't remember the actress's name. I failed today on that.
Thank
that.
you,
fine.
thank you for going on this like tangent with me.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Because we all just need to process the trauma of Tiger King
I
being
know.
the only thing anyone talked about.
Yeah, that was when I truly felt as part of the Borg. I was like,
I knew
I
it
will
was a
watch Tiger
psyop.
King.
I know I call everything a psyop, but Tiger King was a psyop. You
They-
can't tell me I'm wrong.
They got me hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
Margot Martindale. That's the name of the
Oh,
actress.
okay.
She might be a little bit. I mean, she's too old probably to play her.
Carol Baskin's
No.
in her 60s, right?
This lady.
Carol Baskin.
She could do it.
She could do it. We'll have her play Carol Baskin.
Oh, what have I seen her in?
She's been in a lot of stuff.
I know I have.
So that would be my.
She was. Oh, I know. She was Dee Dee's mom in The Act. She's really good at acting crazy, like terrifyingly crazy.
I mean,
So I feel like Tiger King went the way of like I said, The Witcher just went up and over my head after those first few episodes. The timeline got kind of easier to follow after episode 4, and that was about as far as I could get, episodes 4 or 5. But in general, getting rid of Henry Cavill is not a good idea.
So with the degradation of the script,
it would be like getting rid
later
of Robert
on
Downey Jr. as Iron Man in those early films. It would be the same level of stupidity.
so if season 2 is already a step down from season 1, and Henry Cavill was the only reason people came back to it, I don't have high hopes for season 3, where people are already dejected and don't want to stay invested in the story because they don't want to see Liam Hemsworth. And then the next 2 seasons after that are just going to be
no, but season 3 is with him.
Yeah, season 3.
Yeah, I know, but they're not going to want to stay invested in
That's
the
what I'm
story
saying.
if
Why
they
would
know that
you-
he's leaving.
I'm not a completionist. I'm one of those people that I can watch a couple. Like, if you look at my all my streaming queues, they're all at these random points in series where I just pick up and I leave off and then I pick back up 7 months later. Or I have this thing. I don't know if this happens to anyone else. Tell me if this happens to anyone else. I go through like it's like a hump that I have to get over. Like, there's an episode that I just can't get through, and I just keep turning it off, and eventually I just have to skip it. Otherwise, I just keep putting it on for 2 minutes, turning it off, and then coming back a week later, putting
You're
it on for
highly temperamental
and
with things
extremely
like that.
ADHD.
Dude,
But I think it's always better to cancel a show if you're
Yeah.
actually going to ruin it
I
going
have
too far.
I have a war with a game called Final Fantasy 12. It's part of my favorite franchise, and I've started it like 5 times and I can never finish it. I always lose interest
Why not? Oh, just gets bored.
because Please,
Did they make it too difficult?
No. Oh my god. And that's what so I feel like I'm so triggered right now.
Okay.
Because everyone on the message boards is like, you just didn't get it. Like, you didn't get the mechanics. My issue is that you can automate what your characters do, and I did it so well to the point where I only had to hold forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it was too easy.
Yep.
And I got bored.
So, is there an example of following the source material very, very well in recent history? And I want to ask the chat, who would you, if you had to, if you're put in this position and you guys were forced to cast someone other than Henry Cavill, who would be the person to do so?
I got an example of something but it was made by Nintendo itself. And I feel like I've used this example several times. But there was a short series basically about the video games, the Pokemon video games, the original. Mm-hmm. And in the animated series, the protagonist made the common mistakes that the player would make. For example, like having a bunch of weenie Pokemon in the beginning and only one good one, and also trying to catch the other trainer's Pokemon, and that series just like smacks you with a nostalgia. One's like, oh my god, I did that, and that's the one where I'm like absolute pitch perfect.
I mean, there's the obvious example of the Harry Potter films. Those
aren't good at adaptations though. They're legit. There's too much from the books where then you have to read the books for the movies to make any freaking sense.
Sure. They deviate from the books enough where you should be familiar with the books first, but also it's because the author was intensely involved in the making of those films. And with Henry Cavill in particular, I think, even with Man of Steel, there's this theme where he's the victim to bad writing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of people aren't
When
fans
is that
of
going to stop?
People aren't fans of the fact that he they didn't even really like him in as the character in Like people love his character as Superman, but they're not huge fans of
Yeah.
that adaptation. But I heard mixed reviews for The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and he was in that, and people love him in that. They love him in Mission Impossible, but he plays the bad guy in Mission Impossible. Henry Cavill's one of those actors that just I think he kind of does survive in the fact that he is kind of a man of the people in a weird way, because like I said, his material as Superman hasn't been good. The snapping Zod's neck and all of the things that happened in that film don't feel like they gave him the chance to really be the Superman he deserves. And maybe it'll be an impossible goal to fill. Like people are expecting him to have this great run as Superman, but he's never been given the option. But I think he is the quintessential example of somebody who does share a passion for the role, and that gives people a lot more precedence for leeway. I remember there was a thing they did in promotion for Batman vs Superman, where they had him when people were talking about how like the Superman costume would never work. Like you can't just put glasses on a guy and act like he's not Superman. They sent Henry Cavill out to stand under a big Superman banner with glasses, and nobody recognized him.
That's awesome.
Really?
Nobody, like they did the thing. They parted his hair the opposite way. They put glasses on him, and nobody recognized him.
He's good at fully being immersed in a role.
Yeah.
And even if there's bad writing, he can stand out, which takes a lot of talent.
Yeah.
I obviously don't hope that continues for him in this upcoming Man of Steel sequel, or, him being reintroduced in different cameos in DC movies.
I saw in the chat somebody mentioned that Reacher was a really good adaptation recently. I didn't read any of the Jack Reacher books, but I know that I for one sung the praises of that show endlessly when it came out. I talked about it every day for like it's one of the whenever we watch something, right? Like we have to work to get through it. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I didn't just watch that show through the first weekend. I watched it through twice in a week. Like all 8 episodes without, like one time taking notes and one time without it. I don't remember there was an adaptation of something that I was that excited about. Like I'm hoping that's what I want the Tulsa King to be when it comes out. I want it to be something that I can watch through several times without needing to want to do it for work, but you just want to do it, period. Mm-hmm. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. Thank you.
The new Hellraiser was praised for staying true to source material.
Yeah.
Well, not updating it, but not updating it in an obnoxious way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Well,
I don't think it's fair to call for like this one article we were looking at the end of it. It calls for hiring fans and hire super fans like Henry Cavill. But
I don't think there's anything wrong with hiring them as consultants, but then the question is how much do you actually like, they wouldn't use them. They would just ignore them.
Yeah, there are only so many people who are experienced at being writers.
Yeah.
And there are only so many super fans of this franchise. I mean, all you can ask for is the bare minimum, which is that they don't hate the fan base and actively dislike the source material. That's the bare minimum.
Or if they do, just stay quiet. Also, when the hell did the Spirit Halloween movie come out?
No. Isn't that next year?
Is that
in the
next
summertime?
Year? Why would they do that?
I know, right?
What the hell?
Why is it in the summertime?
Sense.
I don't know, but I think
sense.
it is next year.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Okay. Nathan Settlemeyer said, well, The Witcher was good while it lasted. Yeah.
There's definitely some truth to that. We'll see. Like I said, I made it back up through. It is an interesting portrayal of the character, given how stoic he comes across in the first few episodes.
Could you read the next couple of them?
Yeah. Call me Snow Possum. Says my Halloween costume. Oh, is Lil Wayne doing whiteface doing blackface? Is that still racist? I think that's still racist. Maybe I'm not. I wore all black today, and if I could have put on some rain boots, I could have been Kanye West, but I refuse to wear faded black denim. I'm not a fan of faded.
Well, then
black.
it's just gray. How is it not black anymore?
Not a fan of faded black denim. It should be dark black. Still froze?
Yeah.
Okay. Toys New Quarterly says Michael Fassbender would make a much better Witcher. That's interesting.
Okay, I got it.
Liam is too young and too Australian. Well, I mean, do Australians struggle with the British accent? I feel like most of them probably pull it off fine.
Yeah, you just have to tone down the nasal tone in Australian accents.
I posted a really funny thing on my story the other day. It's like why are Australian men so extra when they talk to each other? It's great.
I disagree
with
with
Andrew
Tate.
and I support climate action. that video is incredible.
Nathan Settlemeyer said, "Fantasy is your mom's thing."
Okay,
true.
that is true.
Center Conservative Mom 98 said, "I wanted to be offensive and go as Zelensky. My husband said I could use his green screen for a photo op. I'm not though, but I want to."
Well, you'd have to get the
You have to wear that Patagonia vest as well.
In the green shirt.
Perfect. Just looking like a normal New York finance guy wearing that Patagonia.
Is that what you think he looks like? It's kind of like a
anyone wearing Patagonia vests looks like a finance guy.
Like I see him. I'm imagining him.
Are you wearing one right now?
Am I Zelensky?
Yeah, you could be Zelensky. I imagine him shopping right next to David Zaslav at the Patagonia store.
Also, I think that one of those green screen videos, they're like, it's like negative 10 degrees right now. Why are you out there in a sweater?
Also, guys, did anybody ever see this ad from Patagonia? Hold on.
What is it?
I'm going to show it to everyone. This famous ad of the couple throwing
their baby
across
over
a canyon. Did anybody ever see that?
I did not see that.
Yes, that's a real ad.
Okay, but they probably staged
she grew up.
it.
No, this is like 20.
No?
This is just, it was a different time to be alive, my friend. And that they threw that baby across a canyon. And there's a smaller version of the picture right there.
The dad does not have enough leverage on his legs to not fall over.
I remember the first time I saw this, I was like, the baby, she's 27 now, so she's fully grown.
What?
Yeah. So in the chat sketch there, it was like, what the fuck? Yes, that was a real thing. It's just like the
dad looks like he's about to catch her and then slip right off. Look at it. Look at the angle of his feet.
Yep. The first time I came across this, it was just on Instagram, and it was just like it cuts to like a black dude going, white people.
They just don't care about their lives. I see the same caption on like those Instagram videos of like those people that climb high rises.
Yeah.
And like do weird parkour stunts on the edge of high rises.
That was definitely parenting in the 90s though.
Yeah.
It was definitely throwing your kid across a chasm.
These Gen Alpha kids wouldn't know about that.
Yep.
F off said, "Sup fools."
So
well, what's up, F off?
Halls and the kids said Dave, and then a bunch of Halloween emojis.
We
to
have
follow.
Orange Heart.
Dane is dressed up as Dave today, his alter ego.
You do kind of look like Zelensky now. That if you trimmed your beard, you could be Zelensky and cut your hair. You'd have to get like an undercut. He has
give me billions.
Yes, he has. Zelensky's definitely got like a 1 on the side blended with like a 2 or a 3 on top. You'd have to cut your hair pretty short.
Dane, I want you to just tell them what your costume was going to be today.
So my costume was Sexy Dane. And
So no change?
Yeah, basically.
Cool.
Except I had accessories, let's just say.
And we were like, that's so inappropriate.
I called Dane. He's like, I'm at Victoria's Secret. What do you want me to do?
Basically, he was going to do a little reveal for all of you. But we vetoed it because this is a kid-friendly show.
This is definitely a kid-friendly show. We try to be, except for when I cuss.
Blame the kids.
I unfortunately try to cuss less.
Nathan Settlemeyer, I'm not reading that.
Wow, that's an interesting. It's not Bad App you're not reading? Bad App. Nathan is
crossed a line there, I think. All right, Shards of Narsil said Witcher Season 1 was decent, elevated by Cavill. Season 2 started strong and just got worse as it went on. I'm not pumped for Season 3.
I remember a lot of people making fun of the armor.
Hobbit said, I feel like I should drink when Dane mentions Final Fantasy, not Fast and Furious.
Both.
Well, both. Yeah.
You should.
Yep.
Regatan asked, Dane, did you hear the news of Final Fantasy? They're going woke.
I'm trying to get it from chat what he means, because I know they had some trailers for Final Fantasy 16, but it didn't look woke. I don't know what he means by it.
Could be.
Stupidly Awesome Gaming said, you guys hiring for the video game show? I was a fan of X-Play as a kid and have a book of sketches that I'd love to make for you guys. I guess contact the email. We don't know.
That's the hardest one here, guys, is that like we just don't have, like, we're not involved in the hiring process, so we can't really speak to that very much. But the best thing I think that Ian always says is like you have to put up content online, and then I guess you would want to send it to people and see if that gets its way in front of Tim and crew. So
Caper2X said, "Happy Mary's Day at PCC peeps. Dave, love your Harry Taino cosplay. Wait a minute, where's Brett Stoppable? Just kidding. Have a wonderful week. Make mine Marvel."
Would that have been taller than Kim Possible? Because Brett Cooper's taller than me, so I don't think that would work.
We won't say how much taller, but just
Quite
tall.
a bit. I'm not ashamed of that. It is what it is. Worse if she's wearing heels, I bet. Just
Stupidly Awesome Gaming said, "I hope season 4 of Witcher tanks Henry Cavill was the only one who truly cared about the source material."
Yeah. I mean, it's going to cause a lot of people to be like, the best thing that Liam Hemsworth can do right now is lie. I grew up playing, like, just, I want you, he needs to.
I'm an even bigger fan of it than Henry Cavill.
He needs to guzzle a bottle of Adderall and stay up the entire weekend and just consume literally all the content and then memorize it and then be like, dude, I've been a fan since day one. I actually tried to take out Henry Cavill's breaks the weekend of the the weekend of the audition so that I could get the role. He needs to like just play it up really badly.
Nathan Settlemeyer said Dennis Quaid as Geralt, or is it Geralt or Gerald?
Geralt.
Or Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard would be freaking hilarious. Let's go.
Call Me Snowpossum said Pokemon is about enslavement. Yu-Gi-Oh is all about friendship and never giving up. LOL.
No, Yu-Gi-Oh's about cheating because the protagonist would always put the perfect card on top of his deck at the exact moment. I'm saying Yugi's a cheater.
F off said, "I don't see anything wrong with the picture. We were treated so much worse growing up. Shiz, that kid is wearing brands. We rode in the back of a pickup with long nails. That's came down. Bumps were fun."
I think it's more the fact that they paid the family to throw their baby across a canyon, and there was like
maybe it
money
was just
to be,
a spur of the moment thing.
I'd rather be thrown across a canyon than hear boomers talk about grit.
It's actually kind of yeah. Like it's actually no. It's not funny if it's.
Are we gonna start hating on boomers?
If it's
I never stop.
No,
Spur of the moment isn't funny.
Never
Funny
stop.
is literally a guy storyboarding a big picture of a couple on either side of the canyon throwing a baby.
That couple
That's
is
way
like
funnier.
the Bill Murray of couples.
Yeah, it's probably. I mean, it probably was. I don't know if that was a couple. I just know that the baby was a real person.
So we don't know if those are the parents.
I don't know if those are the
It
parents.
was just a baby model.
Yep.
And the parents signed off on that, which is almost scarier.
Yes,
But they signed off on people who are not related to them.
Yes,
to
you can
throw
my
their baby across a canyon. That's worse than just throwing it to each other.
Yep.
Eric Otterly said, "Brett, have you seen the series The 100 or The 4400?
Look,
The 100 was good.
the 100 has Lindsay Morgan, who is just an absolute freaking smoke show.
The 100 reminds me of The Dome.
Yeah.
Very similar.
And Isaiah Washington, but Isaiah Washington became kind of persona non grata in Hollywood, and I also love that show because it's got Paige Turco, who played April O'Neil in this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sequel. Now, the other thing is the 440. I'm about halfway through season 1. That's one of those shows.
440?
The 440. Yeah, it's a show called the 440.
But it says 4400.
I just say 440. It's 4400.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's
confused.
the 4400. It's one of those shows. It's very early Mahershala Ali. Very, very good, and a very good example of just how mid-tier sci-fi used to be like a really good place to be in, as in source material wise, or I'm sorry, not as in quality wise. It isn't the best production value, but the story is really, really engaging. Also, if you want to watch something truly awful, from what I understand, the remake of the 440 is literally the wokest TV show ever made. So if you want to watch a really bad remake or hate watch something, the 4400, whatever you want to call it, is that. But yeah, that first version it's really good mid-tier sci-fi around the same time. You see a lot of overlap with characters from like Battlestar and stuff like that because it was filmed in Canada.
Did you ever watch The Ark?
I didn't watch The Ark.
I think that one is similar to the 100 as well.
Yeah.
They're a lot like that. And then there's another one, but I forget what the name of it is. All I remember is I started watching it, and in the pilot episode, they're all like living in pods, and it's this like dystopian cyberpunk kind of world. They're all living in pods, and there's this family, and they hide like fruits. They like have a hidden like orange that they're not allowed to have, and the husband like shows it to his wife, and she's like, wow, this is amazing. And I was like, this is so us. This is gonna be society 2050.
I love all of that Sci-Fi Channel sci-fi from like the early 2000s.
So they were like offloading people through a portal to a new planet. Or maybe they like waited until the Earth recovered itself. Yeah. Like which is again like a climate change thing, but like who cares? They're like offloading people back into colonies on Earth or an Earth-like planet. Yeah. Yeah. I like stupid shows like that.
Haven was really good, based on The Colorado Kid by Stephen King. Emily Rose and Lucas Bryant, like those are all, I love that. Like when it comes to sci-fi, I'm not a huge fan of the prestige shows. I love it felt like they focused more on the characters in those shows and less about the sci-fi. Like a lot of times it's kind of like what I talk about, like that when you watch Tenet doesn't really make sense at all. The movie makes like no sense whatsoever, but you're just like, cool. John David Washington looks cool. Robert Pattinson looks cool. The effects look cool. Does it make sense? Not really. That's fine. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Also, guys, I spent here's Brett recommends. I spent the entire weekend watching season 1 of the show Everwood from 2002. With
You've told me that you spent the weekend watching like the entirety of 3 separate things.
Mortal Kombat.
How do you literally get the time of day to do this?
Because I'm doing other things while I'm doing it. Mortal Kombat Legacy, the short episodes, plus those are only like 12 minutes long.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat Legacy, the really cringy but awesome Mortal Kombat web series from 2002, or I'm sorry, from 2012, and then Everwood from 2002, starring Treat Williams. I kind of long for those family dramas were at a time when the world just made a whole lot more sense and things were a lot simpler, and the stories they tell therefore are a lot simpler. And they resonate more with me in a world that feels like it made a hell of a lot more sense to me, and I think to almost everyone else, if they're watching this podcast, they're around my age. Like, it's not Seventh Heaven. It's about a doctor whose wife dies, and they move to a small town.
I know what show you're talking about.
And it's really, really good. I love it. Also,
here we go.
There it is.
The Undertaker. I can't do my dance because this isn't,
It's creepy.
So I'll be like,
You can stop.
I'm scared.
Okay, and but it's in that show we have early Chris Pratt and early Emily Van Camp. Chris Pratt obviously going on to play Star-Lord, and Emily Van Camp going on to play Sharon Carter, both Marvel characters. And remember when I told you about how men grow into their face?
Oh, Emily Van Camp.
You know how I told you men grow into their face? You see Chris Pratt in this show, and you'll know exactly what I mean. He has the funniest looking face that he eventually grew into. He would have been 17 or 18 at that time.
The same thing happened with Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult was like the most like baby-faced looking little kid ever when he was like a child actor.
I wonder if I can find some...
Van Camp's a babe.
Someone by the way, commented, when is Seamus going to be on the show or something like that?
He would have to be back.
We already had him on once.
Yes, he came on right as Roe v. Wade got overturned. That was
perfect timing to keep this show non-political, right? Great timing.
Here's Chris Pratt in the show.
Oh, wow.
That is a guy who grows into his face.
Different.
Yeah, like he was very young in that show. But yeah, that's I highly recommend.
I don't know how you divide your attention like that, Brett. I'm not capable of doing that.
It's like stuff like that. So it's lower stakes though, so you're not as invested in it, right? It's not like when we're watching stuff that we have to review. I can't do other things at once. When it's the weekend, I'm cleaning, I'm taking notes, I'm doing other things, I'm working on my computer.
But you don't mind about missing certain things, and I'm not able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you just fill in the blanks.
I watched a whole ass chick show with my girl on the weekend.
What was it?
I saw season.
Love is Blind, everyone.
I'm so embarrassed.
One of the best dating reality shows.
I saw Love is Blind, and I like those people need Jesus, and pretty much any single divinity that they can cling to.
We did summon you. Oh. All right, next. There's at least a couple more there.
Yeah, there are a lot more than that.
Okay. Do you wanna hold on and go on to and move on?
I mean, if you want.
Yeah, let's hold on. Guys,
sure.
we're going to keep reading Super Chats, but we're going to move on to subject 2. Topic 2 today. This is Tim Robbins. Like I said, he directed a movie called Bob Roberts that my mom loved. I never saw it.
I only knew Shawshank Redemption from him.
So it says that Tim Robbins says society just wants art to die amid COVID-19 vaccine requirements. This is very, very, very interesting because it's one of the most unbiased articles I could have imagined from a site like of all the sites in the world. It's IndieWire, who is very much not unbiased. So it says the vast majority of the entertainment industry was quick to embrace COVID-19 safety protocols, seeing masks and vaccines as a way to get back to work during the pandemic that would have otherwise shut productions down. But not everyone sees those roles as universally positive. Just the fact that there's no snark there in that first paragraph is kind of shocking.
That it's purely factual is interesting. It seems like Hollywood is lagging behind other industries and the rest of society in readopting like normalcy.
Well, also wasn't there
or a bunch normality, as you would say it.
Yes,
Brett.
Guys, always resist the urge to say normalcy. Bring back normality. But just today, wasn't there that meme about how we need to forgive people for like the way they talk to other people during COVID? Probably. To which everyone should say,
you mean wishing death on me?
Yeah.
Totally forgive you for that, but I won't forget.
So he says, in a new article with Matt Taibbi on Substack, he expressed his concerns that too much pandemic-related caution could ultimately make the arts less accessible.
So he's an artistic director.
Yeah, not just an actor.
Yeah, for a theater company that's in LA. And he told Matt Taibbi that he had to postpone the reopening of this theater because his only other choice would be to require vax cards, basically, at the door.
And he didn't want to prevent people from being able to get in.
He felt that would limit access to the arts unfairly, which I totally agree with.
Yep.
And I don't know if the better option is to close it down altogether.
Yeah.
I think that he should have...
I think that's kind of bold.
He probably should take this to his local governance to change this.
Because this is an exclusively American and perhaps Canadian issue. Every time on the weekend when I'm not watching absolutely garbage reality shows that I love, I'm watching like gaming events. Mm-hmm. And all the gaming, for some reason, gaming events.
I do feel like The Undertaker is going to
me too.
Have you seen like that?
It's John Cena!
No,
Thanks,
it's the meme of like that became like a big thing in 2020 with The Undertaker standing behind AJ Styles from the thing where the guy's got the long hair and he's like laughing and you see The Undertaker pop up behind him. Let's go.
Anyways, Dane, you were saying?
Solid meme template. So it's an exclusively American thing to have whoa. Thank you. We're eating good tonight. We're going to Red Lobster or something.
Steak.
No, they're bread though. The cheesy bread.
I've never been to a Red Lobster.
Sorry, go on.
There were 2 Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments 2 weeks ago. There was one in the US and there was one in the UK. The US one was full of fat people with masks. The one in the UK was full of Giga Chads maskless.
Really? When I think of the UK, that's not what comes to mind. But
well, apparently they
I mean, no offense to any UK viewers.
I want to read this. I want to read his quote further. He says, "We were capable of opening last September, but there was still all of these restrictions," Robinson said of the vaccine mandates in California. "I had a problem with this idea of having a litmus test at the door for entry. I understood the health concerns, but I also understood that the theater is a forum and it has to be open to everybody. If you start specifying reasons why people can't be in a theater, I don't think it's a theater anymore. Not in the tradition of what it has always been historically, which is a forum where stories are told and disparate elements come together and figure it out." It's like everything that people were saying 2 years ago, they're just catching up on. I mean, maybe this was his view all along. But I think about how far behind everyone was, and not just how far behind they were, but how angry they were at everyone else while being far behind the starting block.
You're probably right. I'm guessing a lot of people had these points of view, but it was a terrifying time to speak like this.
And remember, I just had this article here. I don't know if I sent this to you. Broadway dancers push for return to in-person audition as industry eyes a hybrid model. They just renewed COVID protocols in California, and I think they're just sociopaths who love seeing the help wear masks while they don't have to wear them.
Right. When I see the Met Gala and all of these people in extravagant, custom-made designer clothing, just, smoldering at the cameras while all of these people in the background working on the event are wearing masks and have to blend into the background like they're less than human.
It's disgusting.
I think this is something that is unique to the arts. They want it to be elitist in a new way.
It's
that's
beyond
far
arts.
more in your face.
I'm telling you, it's beyond arts. It's it's the U.S. because there's a huge gaming event that's called Awesome Games Done Quick or Games Done Quick. It raises millions of dollars for a nonprofit. I think it's Doctors Without Borders every year. They were gonna hold the event in Florida. And they're going to change it from Florida because they didn't require masks to attend the event.
Yeah, and they don't like DeSantis, I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like a political American thing. Everyone else is over this.
You mean they are leaving Florida or going to
They
Florida?
are leaving Florida because in Florida, you don't have to force people to wear masks.
Serge X says Laser Eye Mary versus Bad App Hell in a Cell.
Based. Ladders match.
As long as Mary comes off, like she has to throw she has to throw Bad App off the cell like the Undertaker threw Mankind through the announce table at Royal Rumble, or I'm sorry, I don't remember what pay-per-view it was. Long time ago. 98.
Please don't imply that I would ever touch him, ever, in any context.
So, in this, it says the protocols which have been in place for 2 years were set to expire on Friday night. This article's old, by the way. I just wanted to use it for a point of reference because they talk about the unions, the industry unions, including SAG-AFTRA, the IATSE, and the Directors Guild of America. Remember, we've been hearing a lot more about unions in general because they had to kind of push back on Warner Brothers for getting rid of their director's workshop, which is in their collective bargaining agreement to have to keep that with the company even after they restructured Warner Brothers Discovery. And then he says here at the end, there's a very, very interesting part that he says at the end of this article. He says, I feel there's these forces within our society that just want art to die, he said. It's now not only just scolds from the right, like the old days when the moral majority wanted art to die. Now it's unions and people that are, again, claiming virtuous reasons for all of this. The truth is, a lot of local theaters has failed, and the pandemic helped put the nail in the coffin.
He's right about sort of death of local theater and more high arts. It's interesting that with the gradual reopening and return to normality after COVID protocols, that we had to evaluate what was essential and what was like most important to us. It's just awfully convenient that we found even going to movie theaters, going to arcades, or going to, sports events, all of these things have returned to normal.
Yeah.
All of these things are now accessible. You don't need to comply with mandates to go to them. Everything's ostensibly the way it was before, except for the higher arts. Watching a play.
What was the lady
in person, things like that.
Who was the lady that we didn't talk about her on air, but it was the theater lady who yelled at the people for not wearing their masks in the theater during the show?
Oh, I forgot her name.
Patty
Lupone. Yeah.
She yells. She literally
she has
yells.
A history of also yelling at the audience before COVID. I found a video of her in 2009, I think, yelling at the audience for taking pictures in the middle of the play.
Yeah. Yep.
Like screaming at them, and she gets the audience to applaud her as she does it, as she interrupts the act to do that. So she has a history of getting angry at audience on stage and interrupting things for that purpose.
And if I remember correctly, she's like, "Well, I'm a diva." Like she
said like literally like F you and like get the F out. Like she was violently angry at this person But she's not the one who is held to the same standard. She doesn't have to go up on stage wearing a mask.
The ultimate pet peeve I have is when people use either negative qualities or potential like mental health issues that they have as an excuse.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. Listen, if you're aware, for example, that you have, I don't know, let me use just a generic one, attention deficit.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, sorry, I didn't pay attention. I have ADD. It's my excuse. Like, no. It means you have to try harder.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that now you have just a blanket excuse to never pay attention to anything.
Absolutely.
It means that, okay, I have attention deficit. Thus, I really, 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 really got to try to pay attention.
Never mind. I'm going to use that excuse every time I screw up a thumbnail. Guys, I have ADHD and dyslexia. What do you expect me to do? What, good work? Come on.
It's insane.
It's funny that he brings up scolds from the right and the moral majority because we've veered off from that so far at this point.
Oh my God.
And people
still think that there's weirdos online that still think that like the Christian conservative movement is still in charge.
Well, there are weirdos online who are directly influenced by elites in entertainment who believe that they're fighting against a system which has been overthrown for a long time now, which they already, were the people who overthrew it.
And then I always wonder, I'm like, are those people like
are you happy with what you have now?
No, I wonder, I'm like, do they actually believe that, or are they just gaslighting?
No. This is
some of them.
I think this is him being like, I'm gonna attack the base, and in a manner to mildly appease them, I'm gonna use this example.
Yeah,
that's it. He's just covering his bases.
Like the fact that some people still think there is a satanic panic in our broader culture, and they dress up as, I mean, we're going to talk about this later, I suppose, because we're talking about Halloween costumes, but like they dress up as a priest for Halloween because it's considered subversive.
Edgy, yeah.
And it's like, this isn't subversive anymore. That system was overthrown, toppled on its head. It is gone. It is dead and gone. You are only still stepping on it out of pure spite and hatred in you.
Or they're just naive and stupid.
Yeah, or you're naive. But it's certainly an idea coming from the top downwards.
There is, so if anyone thinks that Christian conservative is currently the general mindscape is like 20 years behind.
Or more.
And it's quite obviously victim consciousness.
And
thinking that you're a victim about absolutely everything.
And that's funny because I gave you an example earlier, like I mentioned in the super chats. I've been watching that show Everwood, and there was an episode in season 1 that they didn't air. I pointed it out to Mary that there was an episode that they have on HBO Max that never aired on TV. It's called episode 20 because it never came out, so it never got a name. And they put it out as episode 21. And in it, they pulled it because it was about teen pregnancy. And this was in 2002, and they just wouldn't run it because they thought it was controversial. You think they would hesitate for 10 seconds now to run an episode on teen pregnancy and abortion? No, they would love it. They would love to run stuff like that now because the pendulum went the other way, and now we're slowly swinging back to the middle.
Dude, there's a...
I don't think we're.
I forget the
middle.
name of it, but there's like a coming of age tale movie about a girl taking her best friend across straight lines to get an abortion.
Yeah. Yep.
What was it called? Do you know?
I have no. I think it's with the. I said she was Latina girl. You corrected me. She was Miss Marvel or something.
Brie Larson.
No.
Or sorry. Imani.
Villani.
Sorry.
Baloney.
Yeah. Iman Vellani. Yeah, that's her name.
I'm pretty sure she was the actress.
Maybe.
Can you spell her name so I can check her IMDb?
IMAN V. The rest you don't.
Got her. Vellani.
Is that it?
I think so.
Is that a real movie?
They have there's an obsession with abortion. And
you say that the
abortion.
pendulum has swung to the opposite direction and now it's going back to the middle. I don't see it going back to the middle at all. We're only going full speed ahead in the opposite direction while delusional elites say that there's still a patriarchal system in place and it doesn't exist. And also... maybe we were a little bit better off when there was something that could make us uncomfortable. There was something that could offend us.
Yeah.
Something that was a little beyond the pale, that there even was that point. Maybe that was good for us.
One of the other things they talk about in not in that episode or in another one, it's funny because I like using this now, a show from like 2002 to show you just how different the culture was. In one of the episodes, this girl who's like 17, her mom gets her breast implants, and they talk about, and the doctor basically scolds her for it after like one of them ruptures, and he's like, "You're 17, your body is still developing. Why would you do some type of surgery to yourself that could have potential lifelong implications?" And he's portrayed as like the liberal dude. In that show, the main doctor advocates for cannabis, for medical weed in 2002, and he's considered hippie liberal.
Yeah, that was back when the left sort of represented like naturopaths.
And that's what I'm saying. And then the
granola
stuffy,
eating crunchy people.
the stuffy other doctor is like, we've got other medications you could take. And the guy's like, yeah, but what about the side effects in that? Something that people learned just 20 years later, but that guy's portrayed as the hippie liberal. And now that would just be like, he'd be me. Like saying, yeah, go smoke your weed, but you might want to lay off the Oxycontin. It's probably not that good for you. Like I don't mean the pendulum swinging back the other way. I'm just saying that like back then, where they sat was so normal to me that, like you said, maybe discussing teen abortion wasn't the best thing to do at the time, or the studio felt that it would put off their audience. But now the average audience member isn't part of a Christian conservative family.
Well, now
they're part of a secular family at best.
Sure, but I think even the studio, considering the sensibilities or sensitivities of the audience who will watch, is no longer happening. They are not considering that at all. They don't consider what's appropriate for different ages to view. They don't consider any of that.
I found the movie, by the way. It's called Unpregnant. She's a type A without a plan B.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the stars...
And Iman Vellani was in this.
No. Sorry about that.
Who's it?
Haley Lou Richardson, Barbie Ferreira, and Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, Barbie Ferreira is a character in Euphoria. And she was a big like Tumblr girl influencer back in like the mid 2010s.
Tumblr.
Early 2010s.
See, that's what Elon needs to buy next, MySpace and Tumblr.
Yeah.
Bring back Tumblr. And then buy
You won't have as much competition.
Can I read the description of the movie?
Yeah.
A 17-year-old Missouri teen named Veronica discovers she has gotten pregnant, a development that threatens to end her dream of matriculating at an Ivy League college and the career that will follow.
Oh my gosh.
Fun.
So.
I was going to flip if Iman Vellani was in that.
Nope.
No. Sorry for defaming you, Iman. Something.
No, it's just some irrelevant Euphoria girl.
It just, to me, it feels like guys, I want to point out that this article, it was from IndieWire, is about as rational and as fair as you're ever going to get an article from IndieWire. I don't know if that's a sign that things are, that people are coming back to their right mind. I think it's more likely that they've always been authoritarian pieces of garbage. They're just hiding it now because it's no longer fashionable to be outwardly authoritarian when it comes to COVID.
Wokeness will end.
I don't have faith in that.
I do.
No, I don't either. I'm with Mary on this one. I don't think that there's an end. There's too much power in making people feel like they can be virtuous without doing any work.
Something will replace it. Trust me. Psychopaths will be psychopaths, but I think
as long as internet comment sections exist, like that's where happiness goes to die. Internet comment sections where you can virtue signal your how good of a person you are while being absolutely awful to people.
I don't know if I agree, because that just isn't the justification that they give for censoring it.
And I also don't, it's not that I even agree that and I think things end up falling back the other way. Like they were talking about, who was it? Andrew Schultz had a thing where people were arguing about how things are going back the other way recently. It might not have been Andrew Schultz. And they were talking about book banning and stuff because they were talking about, remember the adultish kids books in schools that people were talking about banning. And they're like, it's not the same thing as censorship. And then you have to have an actual reasonable debate. And the same thing's happening with COVID. People are going to pretend. I do believe this. I do believe that people will pretend that they had a rational opinion about COVID the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't.
That's what it's been about the whole time, is like changing the narrative before you even know.
Yep. All right.
Before you even wise up to it.
And that bothers me because it's like I've tried, like I I don't know about you guys, but I work very hard to like not share a bunch of hot takes online because one, I don't think people care about people's hot takes other than to argue, and I don't feel that engaging in those types of the internet being kind of a deconstructionist tool where no matter what you say, they're going to misinterpret you anyways.
Yeah.
So people's logic is like just be as offensive as possible because people are going to misinterpret whatever you say.
Birth
Birth
control
control
time.
time. Don't worry, Dane's not going to be in that Plan B movie.
It's almost a segment of the show in and of itself.
Like it just is what it is, and I just don't like. It bums me out that people just can't get to that rational place early on, but they can't.
Yeah.
People are naturally drawn to being to having authority and power over other people.
That's why the religious right or the scolds on the right that he's talking about have essentially been replaced with people who are temperamentally exactly identical. They are the hypochondriac authoritarians rather than the Christian authoritarians. It's not
science is their god, and science is whatever.
It's got the same results. Okay.
Science is their god, and science is whatever a talking head on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, or whatever said so.
Listen, science is 6 steps or 7 steps. The science, however, is a marketing phrase that can be used in a fiery sense.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's go
Johnny
Super Chats.
Derp said, "Cruel parents should have made the infant walk."
Based.
So true. Halls and the Kid said, "I was born in 87 and a kid called me a boomer. Also had a kid ask me if Netflix was in black and white when I was a kid." That's just mean.
The show that I was just talking about, there's the liberal main character doctor dad, and then there's like the stuffy kind of lame conservative dad, and he even uses the term boomer in an episode about the parents being, because the kids of boomers were raised too leniently, and how he needs to be stricter with kids because the boomers didn't do enough to actually parent their children.
That's true.
Yeah.
Potatoes for Seamus said, "Can we have Brett as the Witcher? Happy Potato Ween, everyone. Stop by and get some Irish potato candy." I don't know what that is.
What is Irish potato candy?
Feels like a lie.
Please tell us.
And also, I would need that wig because that wig is actually at least better than the wigs on. It's not great, but it at least looked better than the wigs on House of the Dragon early on, in my opinion.
They want you to bleach your hair again, so you don't need a wig.
Girl, you're amazing just the way you are.
We will need to get to another number someday to get it's just.
Yeah, the roots are pretty grown out.
Yeah.
You're at your boy band stage.
Where's Lance Bass when you need him? Maybe we could have him on the show.
Call Me Snow Possum said, "It's called the Heart of Cards, not cheating. LOL." Thank you.
The Undertaker.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! It's Kane. If only we could get JR, Jim Ross on here, that would be freaking awesome.
God!
It's Kane.
I think this one is directed at you, Dane. It's called the Heart of the Cards, not cheating. LOL. Even so, cheating is better than enslavement if you think about it.
Yeah, true.
There was also somebody in the chat that said Michael Vick would have been great at Pokemon.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. He was trying.
He did his best.
Shards of Narsil said, "Mary, there's an old show called Earth 2 you'd like." I'll look at it.
Also, I had a friend.
It's dark. You'll love it.
In my friend's edgier days, he was like, he's this kid. He was a vegetarian, didn't drink, didn't do drugs, but he would wear a Michael Vick jersey skating. Like that was his version of edginess. He's like, I'm gonna wear the jersey of this guy who just killed a bunch of dogs.
Kind of a weird one. Not gonna lie.
It's dark. You'd love it.
Mary, well, we all know that the only things Mary likes.
Yeah, and
are
Halloween
dark and
is my day because I'm being unfairly stereotyped.
well, you are Ghost Girl.
Okay, fine. Darius Harvey sent $99.99 without a message.
Thank you, Darius.
What a legend.
Thank you.
You are a god amongst men.
Wow. Potatoes for Seamus said, "Bad app, Mary, don't read this." Mary, bad app, I'm not reading that.
Perfect.
What? He's never told me not to read it, though.
He does, however, say
He said,
I've been summoned.
and then Bad App said, "I've been summoned."
That was me. Because you had the Nathan Settlemyre one you wouldn't read, and I'm like, Bad App needs to get in on this.
And then Bad App sent I got a Taco Bell $15 gift card from my mom for Halloween. I'm taking you for a party box, baby.
Is that not the most romantic thing you've heard all day?
What a gracious man.
Also, I want to point out that we had Taco Bell on Friday, and there was like leftovers, and I ate like nothing but tacos.
Dude, but
You only left 2. I looked in the fridge and I was like, what the?
Can I
a bunch
say
there on Saturday morning?
They're gone now.
I'm saying by Saturday, yeah, they were gone.
Yeah.
As I've come from Puerto Rico, I've noticed that some fast foods are way better over here, and some fast foods are way better over there.
What's better over there?
The Taco Bell, no question. Taco Bell was way better in Puerto Rico, and over here McDonald's,
Yeah. Yep.
is way better. It's kind of banging over here.
Other than not being able to get alcohol.
I think Wendy's is better in Puerto Rico too.
No. I don't know. I never had Wendy's overseas, but I can't imagine. It's already
Wendy's
pretty good
is
here.
meh.
What?
It's pretty good over there.
I only get the Frosties and fries. That's all.
See, we are so different, guys. That is why we host this podcast.
Like,
together,
I
because
wouldn't
we
go
are
out
so
of my
different.
way to go to Wendy's. If I'm hungry, I'm going to get something actually good, like Taco Bell.
Mary is the biggest Taco Bell fan ever here.
I think it's kind of gross in the U.S. Taco Bell.
It's all the same shit. It's just Taco Bell. Like,
no, it's
in
made
Puerto
different
Rico.
in other countries
Yeah.
because they have different
Really?
health standards. Oh yeah. Yep.
I've heard that the U.S. has pretty strict health standards compared to a lot
That's a
of countries.
lie.
That's propaganda if
Yeah.
ever I've heard it. Holy
Now
crap.
that's a psyop.
I mean, the regulations that European countries have are mainly
Is the
about
regulation that they have
climate.
to have more?
I mean, Puerto Rico is an American territory, so there shouldn't be like different standards. But by
Yeah.
regionalization, we have different products.
Potatoes for Seamus said, so bad app Wednesday wedding date for you and Mary.
When is that, Mary?
What is it, man?
It's never. There's no date.
You are so like heartless. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Heartless.
In like a not
Right.
even like a
I'm heartless because I won't marry this
Well-
weirdo on the internet.
Well,
Okay.
To be fair, it's better than what like Amaranth telling.
It's better than courting this type of
Yeah.
insanity.
Yep.
Bad App said, shout out to all the wingmen in chat. You all are invited to the Taco Bell wedding.
Oh, that would be. Let's go.
The Taco Bell wedding in the sky.
The red wedding.
Bad App said, Satanic Panic was the name of my first band.
I wonder how many kids in high school had a band named Satanic Panic in the late 80s.
I bet a
So
lot.
lame. Matt said, the highest art MTG World Championship and Warhammer 40K US Open were this weekend in Vegas and what's KC? KC. Mask wearing was very inconsistent in the streams.
Based.
Not hard to believe. I mean, like, well, remember when we were talking about Comic-Con and they're like telling people they had to wear masks and there's like people behind them handing stuff out without masks on.
Guys, it's 2022. 2022 is ending. It's almost not 2022. Let's get over this.
Nathan Settlemeyer said, if Mary is into the super dark, Bad App needs to get 50 Shades Darker. Please
Okay.
stop. Center Conservative Mom 98 said, briefly dabbled in the Crunchy Mom community. From what I gather, granola is the leftist version of Crunchy. And Crunchy is the more conservative version.
In
anybody
Colorado,
else-
I gathered that.
Does anybody else cringe when they see somebody have plant-based in their profile name?
Right, because just say you're vegan. Like, why do you need to say
Oh
plant-based?
my god, I am plant-based.
Plant cringe more like.
in Colorado, Crunchy is like a hippie.
Yeah, but like Crunchy is like a right-wing hippie, whereas granola is a left-wing hippie.
Is that
That's
what
what
that
she
No,
said.
guy? What is that guy who hit Pelosi last week? Was he? Because he was green.
There are a
party?
lot of right-wing Crunchies. Do you know that?
I didn't.
Like,
that's
I
funny.
tweeted the other day, like, you guys seem to think that being hippie tree huggers is the way to own the libs, and it's not it.
That's
Because
interesting.
they're crunchy right-wingers.
For me, Crunchy was always just like hairy and armpit hair.
Yeah, no, exactly. But they're right-wing now. They're the raw egg slonkers, the raw milk people.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just never want to hear the word slonking.
I don't
again.
know what the hell that means. I don't
Me
want
neither.
They're slonking back.
Sounds
raw
like a hate
eggs.
crime.
Let's read a couple
It-
more.
yeah, it
Let's read a
is.
couple more, and then we're gonna move on to
It's a crime against humanity. F off said
birth
I
control
would.
again.
F off said I would bet money HBO streamlined corn on TV. This with the 19th and birth control. Sit back, relax, make money, and laugh at the clown show, my peeps. Sup, fool. Wokeness will end. Strong never change. The weak
Fade out.
fade out.
I mean, I don't know. The idea here is that it's incentivized financially. I do believe a lot of it is a cynical form of just profiteering in a way. Like when I watch a commercial and they're all mixed race couples, I don't think it's wokeness. I think they're marketing to multiple demographics at once. That's what I see when I think that. Like, how can I reach the most people with the least amount of effort and work? That's
But it
what I
should
think
be
of.
obvious by now that it's self-defeating. You can't market to everyone at once.
They can try until they're told otherwise.
Bobby, do you want to stop?
No, go one more.
Okay. Bobby said, Brett, where is your sombrero and poncho? I see Mary is still appropriating the culture of proud ghosts everywhere. Dane, hey bro, how you doing? Happy Halloween, y'all.
I should have done it. Instead, I was going as Will Witt from that PragerU segment where he went around asking people if his outfit was offensive because he was wearing a sombrero and a poncho. And all the lame people at
And they're like,
college were like,
"Yes."
"Yeah, it's offensive." And then he goes into like it's a bunch of people down, like a bunch of people were like, "No, it's fine, it looks fine."
Well, it was the Latino students who said, like,
Yeah.
no, that's not offensive
No, not
at
even
all.
students. They were like, it was like adults. It was like grown-ups or
Oh,
people
okay.
like, there was definitely an age gap in the people that thought it was okay. And that was, the younger people were more offended because younger people are like that. They're more offended these days.
As Latinos keep coming to the country, we will make it more based.
There was a really funny thing where the guy talked about, he's like, have you ever noticed how adults are the only ones having fun anymore? He goes, adults are in their 40s playing video games, no kids, and kids in their 20s are depressed and all they care about is politics.
True.
Like that's the way it is now. All right, guys. So this says James Gray, who's the director of Armageddon Time, by the way, that's a new movie coming out, on casting non-Jewish actors as characters in his movie. He says, I reserve the right. We've had this discussion before when it was related
Adam
to
Sandler?
Bradley Cooper. We talked about Bradley Cooper.
Oh, okay.
Remember, because he was playing that, the not pianist, but he was playing the conductor, the famous conductor, and he
Right.
had to wear like the makeup. Basically.
Well, what they really were objecting to in that case with Bradley Cooper was the prosthetic nose.
Yep,
and that's like different than just makeup, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people came for him for that. And also the celibacy thing that he did for Silence. It's like Bradley Cooper just can't catch a break
Wasn't
about
that Keke
about-
Palmer, or no, it wasn't Keke Palmer. It was somebody else who's like, I can go 6 months without having sex too.
Guys,
Oh no, it wasn't Keke
was
Palmer.
somebody
It was
else.
someone
It
similarly
was like
annoying.
Gwyneth Paltrow or something.
Yeah, I
Somebody
think it
lame.
was.
I know
Somebody lame.
consistency is not a thing in this industry, but why? I'm super lost. So, Little Mermaid is black, but it's wrong to have
There is no
non-Jewish
consistency.
actors play Jewish people.
There's no consistency in this argument. I am of the opinion that if it's a historical figure, you should go for as accurate of a look as possible. If there's source material, you should go for. I give leeway there. When it's a fictional character, I give leeway. I understand that is not the most internally logical or consistent argument, but I see more leeway there. And remember that a lot of these people come from theater where you can cast men to play women, you can cast women to play men, and they don't look at it the same way that most people
Okay,
do.
here's one difference. When the girl playing the Little Mermaid gets race swapped for Ariel, okay? That's because they got in a boardroom and talked about it and the social impact that it would have to race swap her for a black girl and what it would mean for representation. That's the reality behind that decision. But when you cast Bradley Cooper as a Jewish character, it's probably because there is a shortage of Jewish actors to choose from if you're looking to cast him.
I
right?
just want them to write down their own rules.
Wouldn't that be nice to have like an actual freaking rule book
Yeah,
to go by?
I mean, there's also the reality that like there is a shortage, or not a shortage
There's
even, but just
no
a
shortage.
scarcity of a scarcity of people to cast if you're looking for someone of that specific race.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to cast only Native Americans in a TV show or movie, then you're going to see some recurring faces because there's just a smaller pool to choose from.
Yeah, I see a lot of especially that's all of them. Probably Native Americans have it's like Zahn McClellan gets in literally everything.
And there's no shortage of
Lou
like
Diamond Phillips.
When there's no shortage of redhead white girls to cast as Ariel. Just cast Sadie Sink.
Kate Mara.
But by that logic, shouldn't Jewish actors be even more insulted then that they didn't get casted?
Well, this director is saying because he is of Russian Jewish descent, and it's partly based on it's a dramatic retelling of something that happened in his own life. He says he reserves the right to cast whoever he wants, and he's right.
I agree,
but I feel he shouldn't even need to have Jewish heritage to reserve that right because he is in charge of casting.
If somebody wants to make a movie and they want to tell a story of another culture and they don't want to cast somebody that looks exactly like that culture, I don't see a problem with that. But I'm fairly consistent that I'm okay with a lot of the swaps as long as it's not mentioned in the material. But it says Gray defends the decision to cast how he wanted, noting that as a Jewish person, I reserve the right to cast who he wants. I think that whoever the casting director is should have the right to cast who they want. Remember, we talked a lot about this with when they got rid of when that whole movie was being made, what was called Rub and Tug, the movie about that Scarlett Johansson was going to do.
Scarlett Johansson was going to play a transgender female to male identifying mafia member.
And then she had to drop, and then they pushed her out of it. She was already raw from all the backlash from playing Ghost in the Shell. From playing the character in Ghost in the Shell, and that's it. So
why'd she get backlash for that?
Because the character's not even Asian, right? The character's a cyborg. But because it was based on a manga, like that's it. There was pushback there. So
is the director of Little Mermaid a mermaid, and thus they can?
That's the argument that it's.
Well, really, truly, the director of The Little Mermaid is an old, stuffy, mothball-ridden executive at Disney who, immediately after casting Halle Bailey, forced the idea of inserting her racial identity into the character
in the marketing,
and she just accepted it because this is her breakout role and she's not going to push back on that.
Here's the part I didn't like about this, because he gets whiny in one of these paragraphs. He says he also calls pushback on the casting choice personally offensive and argues that the demand to only cast Jewish actors for Jewish roles can lead to stereotyping. He's right about the second part. The part about being offensive says spare me, bro. But he's right. Like they simultaneously want to cast things where nobody's ever stereotyped ever, while also only casting people who fit those roles, right? It's like when they're like, why aren't there more Asian people in Karate Kid? How freaking racist and offensive can you be? It's not a... It's like, are you saying that all Asian people do martial arts? That's freaking... They did the same thing with Iron Fist. They're like, why isn't Danny Rand Asian? I'm like, well, first of all, the character of Danny Rand was never Asian in the comics. Second of all, you make it sound like the only people that ever did martial arts were Asian, which is a super racist thing to assume.
Well, it's ignoring the reality of how martial arts assimilated into American culture.
So it says, does the person, this was the best example, was the Marlon Brando one. So he says, does that person watch The Godfather and complain that Marlon Brando is from Omaha, Nebraska and not an Italian New York guy? He continues, at some point we have to acknowledge that our whole function as artists is to try and step into the consciousness of someone else and find compassion and find something of emotional power in doing that. But why does this argument never seem to work both directions?
Well... Like, when I see him pointing out that irony, I just think it's because certain ethnic identities are considered more salient than others.
And you wouldn't be allowed to go the other direction.
Right.
You would not be allowed to cast a traditionally black character as white anymore. That's not going to be allowed.
I suppose if it's historically relevant, that's... Yeah. Obviously, the casting decision should stay true to who that real historical figure was. I think about what they did to the character in Doctor Strange when they got rid of the ancient one, and because the character was Tibetan in the original, and then they made it. I don't remember her name, the actress's name. The
white lady.
She's a really famous one. But they did that because China's like, no Tibetans in this movie. Sorry.
Seriously.
Yeah. China's like, not on our watch.
But I thought that they never ended up getting shown in China anyway.
This is from the first Doctor Strange, not the second.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, now I see why they wanted to get back at them.
Yep.
Interesting.
China's like, yeah, and I
They're
see
like
that.
now. Then Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness was like, "Hey, I'll raise you a cameo of the Epoch Times."
Yeah.
Like a little too extreme. In the
I'm
other
also
direction.
picturing whoever the hell it was in Disney that's reading the Epoch Times that even knows what the hell that is.
Like, it's such a weird thing to insert in there.
Yep.
No one even noticed it.
So it says the one version of a story is that that Gray says, okay, I want to talk about a little bit about what this movie's about. It says the film's inciting incident based on a real experience Gray had as a child involved Johnny, played by Jalen Webb, a young black boy who agrees to steal a school computer with his Jewish friend Paul, played by Michael Banks Repeta. They're both arrested, but Paul is allowed to leave with his father while Johnny is left with the police, after which the two boys never see one another again. The criticism, may I say, would be valid if I tried to tell the story from Johnny's perspective, Gray explained. That would be asinine. They really do want a world now where you're not allowed to tell any story other than your own. You're not allowed to be creative or even think that you could create a story because it's not your lived experience.
Yeah, so the same faction that's giving him criticism for casting a white actor as a Jewish character, he's with that faction because he's saying that he's not able to tell the story of someone who is not Jewish.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? But that's the point of storytelling in the first place, is to hop into someone else's shoes.
And this is kind of what I've been talking about a lot, is that it feels like when I watch old stuff, there is a lack. I think it's the lack of the internet back then, the lack of prevalence of the internet, right? Where the criticism comes hard and fast right away and you can't escape it. It felt like back then writers were more willing to take a chance in something they didn't really fully understand. And sometimes greatness came out of that. But a lot of times, a lot of crap came out of that too. But that's the price you pay. That's the risk you take to take a chance and tell great stories from a realm in which you may not be 110% comfortable. The X-Files did that a lot. There's a lot of amazing sci-fi and science fiction in the X-Files. There's a lot of crap in there too. That's very much a product of its time. Those tend to be the episodes I love. There's an episode called... where there's like basically a killer building based on artificial intelligence. It's awful, and I love it. It's like, but you could tell like that back then, it's the 90s. They have no idea what AI is. All they can really think of is like Hal from what's it called? Not Mystery Science Theater, but Hal. You know what I'm talking about. And it's like they didn't know, but they had an inkling, and they did that throughout the show, right? They didn't know 100% what they were going to write about. Sometimes those episodes came out great. Sometimes they didn't. Now, you're not allowed to do that with other cultures or try to tell stories of any consequence, because you're going to be told that you're a bigot for trying to tell a story about something you don't understand fully. But the sad fact is, most people these days haven't lived unique enough lives to be able to make a career out of telling just their own stories. Right. Imagination has to come into it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, there is a very real argument that telling his own story from his childhood is asinine in and of itself. Yeah. Because it doesn't require as much introspection as telling someone else's, does it?
No.
You're just, I mean, in a way, it's less personal.
Oh, and they point out, yes, it was 2001: A Space Odyssey. That was what I was trying to think of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if introspection, like, I don't necessarily think that all art, especially commercial art, because that's what all this is, right? It's still commercial art. You're still selling a product. Like, I don't think all of it needs to be deep, meaningful, or that you have to explore part of yourself. Let's face it. Do you think that this movie is going to be some big multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar movie? No. It's going to get
that's what Amsterdam was supposed to be.
Everything should aim for meaningful.
It's going to...
I agree.
I don't even know if it needs necessarily...
the aim, even if that meaningful part of it is like still rather shallow, it should still be a goal, right?
But I reject the notion that you have had to live some experience to be able to tell a story about a world you don't understand. Otherwise, there would be no superhero comics.
There would be no fiction.
There would be no fiction. And I'm
underneath it all, it's really the assumption or the belief that they're trying to promulgate right now that the only... What is it? I need to articulate this properly, but they're saying that the only depth or meaning in things you've experienced is a byproduct of how you look. And it's a byproduct of how people treat you because of how you look.
Yeah, not
and
where
that's
you grew
the
up.
only reason that you would have anything unique to say.
Yeah. Not where you grew up, not what your family life was like, not the friends you made when you were younger, not your first job, not the thing, only the way you were treated by people on the outset of your life because you were raised and you
and how you
way.
look should be, they're saying it should be the only basis for you having anything in common with other human beings.
Yep.
And in, to like strongman their argument, they're not saying that how you look determines your whole future, but they're definitely saying it's your starting point. Like it's the one thing that you can never ever escape, and it's like.
Do you believe that?
It's not even. They're framing it as something that we want to escape. It's like I don't even know if that's.
I think in the 90s we were trying to get past that.
Yeah.
And we're taking it back.
Yeah.
What needs to be recognized is like, yes, your surface level traits are part of you and probably have a lot to do with, your interpersonal interactions and like your relationships and your story, whatever. But like your skin color is not the only basis for which you can have a friendship or a shared experience or commonality with other people.
Somebody pointed out to me, said, they go, yes, those are important things in your life. How many decisions do you make every single day? That affects your life as much as anything else. What time did you get up? What did you decide to wear? What did you leave early for work? Did you leave late for work? What did you say at work? Who did you talk to first? Who did you choose to interact with? Did you look for a new job today? Do you like your job? You make a million decisions every day in your life, all of which add up to who you are as a person that are every bit as relevant to that thing. It's like they don't want to ask hard questions about themselves anymore.
Back when I listened to music regularly, and I know that sounds like an odd thing to say, but I just don't listen to music a lot. I thought that the truest way to know someone is to ask them their musical taste.
Really?
Yeah.
It's definitely up there.
That I think musical taste is a far 1,000 times more accurate depiction of a person's character than their race. Musical taste.
Depiction of
a person's character.
Their values or
and
their
values
emotions.
And their general
female electronic music and gangster rap. I don't think that defines me. I don't.
Well,
I don't think it has anything to do with
it's something more salient to you than maybe the fact that you're descended from Poland.
Yeah. Well, I don't listen to polka.
That's all we're saying.
So luckily I don't listen to polka. No accordions.
But again, like,
unless it's a Weird Al song.
They're basically saying unless it's your race or the media you consume, there is nothing meaningful or of note about you.
Yeah.
And, it's almost like a hyper focus on race or gender or sexuality or any immutable characteristics is just a way to escape having to confront any vulnerability.
Yeah.
And that's really hurting art right now.
Yeah. So what would you do to fix it? If you were put in charge of these things and you could fix it some way, what would be the first step?
Well, I mean, it's difficult for me to say because I'm not, the creative type of person that needs to be propped up right now. Like I'm not a filmmaker. I am not a screenwriter. But like, if I had the choice to like finance big films that were, doing something to combat this problem, I absolutely would be there.
Yeah.
And we can't just rely on one Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Funding his own.
Or Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Funding their own shit. Like it's not. And the money is there. The money exists. The people with money, they're out there. They know. But like there's just not enough care being put into this. Or really like in the middle of a poverty of.
And the average person
good
just
entertainment right now.
You could put me as like oddly enough somebody like me who kind of makes the joke about how stuff doesn't have to have meaning and everybody tries too hard. Also understands that most people these days are guilty of just consume. Mm-hmm. Whatever Disney puts out, shove it down your throat.
Your media consumption habits and your race and your sexuality are all that matter about you, and you will be happy.
I will say that I would say like what a person watches might be as good a gauge as any as to like what their as to an idea of their personality. Like I think about it. Like I watch almost exclusively stuff from prior to 2016, and I made the point this weekend. I said, is it really old media that you're longing for, or is it just a callback to a time when life was simpler, when things made more sense, when it was easier to digest the world because there was rules and parameters that followed you that seemed to fit within the spectrum of the world you lived in, and you're yearning for that simpler time as a representative of it.
Can I steel man my argument a little bit more? Mm-hmm. Because we talked about genre, but genre is really vague. You listen to rap and electronic music, but within that there's artists and there's songs.
Okay.
Right?
So
and I think
Tupac, so it's more poetry driven than it is musically driven. Meaning
correct.
that he was a poet before he was as much as he was an artist.
So that paints more to a more analytical side of you, right? Whereas gangster rap would paint more towards something else.
But I also loved that. But I loved Bone Thugs and Harmony, which was there's very little in the way of actual meaningful lyrics. There's a lot of meaning behind a lot of what Tupac's saying. I saw less of that in early Bone Thugs and Harmony.
When you listen to it during your adolescence because you didn't relate to it, that's also something that is meaningful about your personal history. And when I say media consumption habits being considered like part of our identity now, what I really mean is fandom. Like finding your identity in being a fan of something is becoming more and more widespread than defining yourself in relation to like your personal relationships, your community, your beliefs, your moral foundation.
Do you think that's because people are looking for outside, they're looking for relationships away from the real world because people live more heavily on their phones and in cyberspace now than they do in the real world? So you find people that are similar to you online in fandom than you do people in the real world?
Yeah, but it's usually people who are only similar to you in this one respect.
In that one way.
And who, like, if you met them in person, you might have absolutely nothing to talk about.
That would be an interesting study to see done. Like, see, like, what overlap, like, look at your average Disney, like, super fan, like, find a baseline amount of content they have to consume that qualifies them as, like, a Disney super fan, and then look at their love life, look at their politics, look at their eating habits, look at where they live, and then try to see where the corollaries are between these people, and what draws them to these subcultures, right? Because I don't really look at them as subcultures as much as I do mainstream now. Like, I don't think of Star Wars and Marvel as part of a genre fandom anymore. I just
they
see them
definitely have that still. I mean, there are people who, like, there are Disney adults who get married on the basis that they share fandom for Disney. Like, I know
insane.
Like, that seems like it's fake, but it's real. And like, people on first dates ask, like, have you seen The Office, and which character are you from The Office? or
Friends.
Parks and Rec, or Friends, or any of these.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, these, serviceable, enjoyable shows, but things that are not, like, relevant to who you are as a person or what you think is important.
To steelman those people that it's... In the past, like, I've mocked them mercilessly, but like to steelman their arguments, they're talking about archetypes ultimately.
Yeah.
And they're looking for a connection because
now you're just making me feel like I'm evil.
And I'm evil too, dude. I clown them all the time. But when a Jim is looking for his Pam, is what he say. I know. And I don't have that as much with shows and movies as I have them with video games, because there's this video game character that's from Final Fantasy VI, Drink Up, that I relate to so much, so insanely much. And if you're in chat, it's King Edgar of Figaro, because he's one of two twins who got abdicated responsibility that wasn't his. And he acts a certain way, and he jokes a certain way, and though at least the way his humor was written for me is like, I feel like I understand where this character comes from, even though it's not real. And you know, you try to find within your life, oh, this person's a this person's a that, you know, but ultimately you're just looking for people to mesh with. And
Yeah.
It's because people are lonely.
No, true.
because
yeah.
we don't have the third place, as we've talked about before, like this other, as everything's become online, we don't have this other physical place to like let off steam.
And people are less connected to their families than they used to be.
And the media consumption is, my point is, it's making it worse, not better.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go super chats.
On that depressing note,
I don't think it's depressing.
that everyone's,
They're looking for connection. It's beautiful.
I guess, it's just like people never needed to be in this position. You know,
But here we are.
it is what it is.
Media, I mean, it's a fact of the world we live in, right? Like that's as we spend more and more time engaged in screens, and our life seems to take place less and less in the real world. Think about how much more that even happened and was kind of accelerated through COVID when people were working exclusively from home, or more people were working exclusively from home. It made it worse, not better.
Yeah. Bobby said, "Whoa, Brett, your hair looks great, dude."
It needs to be touched up or shaved, and it will just eventually
Don't
be
shave your
shaved
head.
unless we get to a certain length.
Bad App said, "Dane makes me hot saying Puerto Rico."
Say Puerto Rico, Dane.
Say it.
Puerto Rico.
There you go.
Rega Tan said, "No, Bad App, Mary is mine."
We got a
I
good old-
am neither of yours.
Yeah.
You're just like laughing at how hard.
Luckily, nobody fights over me.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously mine.
Aerotas of Stet said, "Oh my gosh, is Luke crunchy?"
Is Luke crunchy?
No.
He is kind of crunchy. He told me that he doesn't use deodorant.
He's pretty big on like
I guess
eating
that.
healthy and food and stuff,
Yeah.
and natural foods and stuff. He's kind of crunchy.
Yeah, definitely. Gray Jedi Outcast said, "Hi guys, happy Halloween. May the flames guide thee."
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I need to stop watching YouTube. Said, "May trippy and supernatural events come your way."
Well, we can only hope, right?
Yeah.
I sent somebody a picture the other day. It's like a limo window coming down, and it's an alien. When it comes down, it scares the crap out of me the first time I saw it.
High Voltage 75 said, "Any horror movie recommendations for Halloween?"
I say go watch the original 2 Scream movies. I always watch those around Halloween. That's me, though. I'm not a huge horror fan, but I was a 90s slasher fan because that's when I grew up with that genre.
I hate scary movies. I don't watch any of them.
That means that you're healthy spiritually. I was just reading this thread the other day about Midsummer, I think. And look, they're doing some weird social engineering experimentation with, like, Ari Aster. I'm watching you because, like, you are definitely sick in the head, sir. And I don't mean that as like it's so good, it's like, or it's so bad it's good thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's actually just like, when you watch his films, you are most certainly not watching them alone. That's all I'll say. Sujata Mastani, or I don't know how to say that, sorry, said Polish punk rock instead of polka.
I was never a punk fan, just me. In fact, the emo trend, the emo and the punk trend coming back to social media is grating to my ears most of the time.
Remember that girl on TikTok who was like, "I've studied punk academically," and she started trying to like tell everyone what punk was.
And then people tell me that I need to repay their student loans, and I say kindly, no, sir.
You studied punk academically.
That's just like, it's like, but pay off my student loans. I didn't.
Right.
I went to college for music theory. You should musically pay off my student loans for taking something that's stupid.
Potatoes for Seamus said, "Brett, you're mine." LOL.
Oh, well, there we go.
Are you now?
There we go. That was I didn't see that one coming. All right, guys, we are going to move on. We've got some seasonal topics today. In this
Fun.
case, we're going to start with Shonda Rhimes. So, as you guys know, Elon Musk went out and he bought Twitter.
We
That's
closed
done.
the deal, $44 billion. Imagine having that kind of money.
It must be nice. But of course, as he did that, if you guys remember a long time ago, all the way in 2016, when a certain orange man won the presidency, a bunch of celebrities got on Twitter and they're like, "We're gonna move to Canada," or a bunch of such nonsense.
These promises which they never followed through on,
Yeah.
of course, because they have to stay here in order to annoy us.
So it says, not hanging around for whatever Elon Musk has planned. Shonda Rhimes is among the celebrities announcing that they have quit Twitter after the Elon Musk takeover.
You will not be missed.
Look, this is one of those things that, okay, in skating, there's this thing that people used to do where, like, if they were like in a bad mood and, you know, you're somebody that's like emotional and you're online all the time, I'm quitting. Don't just do it. If you're going to quit, you just quit. You don't announce to the world that you're going to. There's literally nothing that says I'm not quitting more than announcing that you're quitting something.
Well,
Am I right?
what should happen now is that she gets suspended from Twitter so that Elon can say, you didn't quit, you're fired.
You're fired from Twitter. So there's a
He's
list.
already fired so many people.
There's a list of celebrities. So imagine, I mean, Shonda Rhimes is still kind of relevant, but imagine like caring what Sarah Bareilles thinks
Right.
on Twitter. Like, is she gonna
Sarah
write?
Bareilles.
Is she gonna
Whoa.
write? Is she gonna
Well,
write?
it's been fun, Twitter. I'm out. See you on other platforms, peeps. Sorry, this one's just not for me.
So she's
I
not
love
gonna
that
write your
you're-
love song.
By being on
What a blast from the
another
past.
social media platform, you are openly endorsing all of their operating practices and every executive in the company and all of their personal decisions.
She's like, I don't think much of Elon, but
Good
the
to know that
weirdo-
you love Mark Zuckerberg and you love Chinese spyware on TikTok.
She's like, I love the Borg.
You just openly endorsed that.
I don't even know who the hell Ken Olin is. He's an executive producer and Emmy-winning show. From the show This Is Us. Okay, well, he made
Yeah.
This Is Us. Of course, he's a freaking. Okay.
He said, I'm out of here. No judgment. Let's keep the faith. Let's protect our democracy. Let's try to be kinder. Let's try to save the planet.
Okay.
To be more generous. To find peace in the world.
This is the thing. There is nobody in the
You
world.
first.
There is nobody in the world less likely to be nice to you than somebody who says that everyone. Nobody is meaner than somebody who says be kind on their social media.
True.
And there is no catchphrase more painfully stupid than the constant celebrity nagging to tell everyone to protect our democracy. Like, they literally never shut
Yeah,
up
like
about
if
it.
you actually cared about protecting our democracy, would you not boycott TikTok, which
Yeah,
is
you think so.
actively spying on American citizens?
Yep. So Brian Koppelman, from the showrunner for Billions, closed out his account. He told his Twitter followers to follow him on Instagram and TikTok instead. Look, I'm okay with like just quitting, but making the announcement, I give most of these people like a month. They're too addicted to it. They love Twitter. They're not going to do what Kanye does and just post blank squares with word posts, right? They need to post. Some of these people post hundreds of times a day.
Yeah.
They tweet hundreds. They're addicted to it.
They're doing the doom scroll every
Yeah.
day, and you know, if they were serious about quitting, would they not just ghost the platform?
You
Dude,
would think so.
I love people. I hate bots. I hate whatever. By the way, and this isn't like a political thing. I hate people that none of their opinions are their own. Everything is a carefully constructed performance to appease individuals that would normally not give a F about them.
Yep. Rob Reiner is like that. He's
He
vote
is
blue no matter.
Mr. Twitter fingers himself.
Yeah. For those who are fighting to preserve our constitutional democracy, notice they never say constitutional republic, which is what it actually is.
Right.
Now is the time to leave Twitter. Now is the time to vote blue. Wouldn't this be the time to stay on Twitter and spread your message?
No, because that's not the talking point.
One good thing about Elon buying Twitter is that I will finally leave and stop being a complete menace to society on here. So it's a win-win for you all, really. Jamila Jamil is so painfully self-absorbed.
Someone said, certainly a lot of celebrities that nobody has heard of are trying to boycott Twitter ownership and urging people to leave the platform. So Karen, who starred in a movie nobody heard of 18 years ago, I'll stay, thanks.
Yeah, and
Seriously.
imagine caring what Rob Reiner thinks in 2022. Steve Van Zant says, Dear Elon Musk, some free advice from one of the world's, I don't know what that word is, world's, how's that pronounced? Consigliere? Conciliary? I don't know what that means.
Conciliary?
Conciliary. You will be making the biggest mistake of your life if you put a Hitler back on the most effective means of communication in the modern world. The kind of mistake you will never, ever be forgiven for. Notice how much first of all, the false equivalency here, right? You automatically compare him to somebody that's obscenely worse. And then you say that the only way to do right by the world is to silence them from saying anything. These people are not just authoritarians, they're annoying authoritarians, which is somehow worse.
As a person that loves sarcasm and finds it sexy when some people are sarcastic, I am so sick of snide.
Yeah. Snark
is
and
not
snide
the
needs
same
to,
thing as sarcasm.
I despise snark. I think that's one of the things that's why I hated almost everything that's feminist nowadays, because it's all snark. They do not know sincerity. They haven't known sincerity.
Speaking of snark feminism, you know who else quit Twitter, but she did it earlier than the rest?
Who?
Jamila Jamil.
I read that.
Yeah.
I read that one. Yeah, she quit.
But she didn't do it for real. She already came back.
Yeah.
She's been posting all month.
Yep.
Did you miss me?
LeBron James says, I don't know Elon Musk, and to be honest, I could care less who owns Twitter, but I will say that this is true, that if this is true, I hope he and his people take very seriously, because this is scary AF. So many damn unfit people saying hate speech is free speech. There is nothing, and I know that this doesn't need repeating. There is no such thing as hate speech. You're a censorious piece of shit.
Whoa.
You are. It's not real. You're outside of calls for violence. Somebody saying something you do not agree with is not hate speech. Somebody saying something mean to you is not hate speech. You're a baby. You're a child. And I am sick of the false, of somehow making it seem as if that's a real thing. That you get to just arbitrarily decide with no actual qualifications, because there's no actual criteria for what counts it as other than whatever the platform decides on that individual day, that what hate speech is. It's never evenly enforced. No go. None of it.
Dude,
deal with it.
LeBron James is a teenage girl with mental health issues in the body of a Giga Chad.
Yeah.
I have never seen a person whose physique does not resemble at all his like mental state.
CM Punk is pretty annoying on Twitter, and he's still in pretty good shape for a pro wrestler.
I mean, but he looks like a dork.
Yeah, he is kind of a. Never mind.
Like,
he is like
whatever.
he was already on the small side for a wrestler, I guess.
That wine 1-1.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
truth here is
Call the ambulance.
celebrities are way overestimating the influence they have and the fanfare they have, thinking that boycotting Twitter could significantly reduce their users in any way.
Yeah.
Like, you don't actually have fans. You've just been artificially propped up by the rest of your industry to think that you're more important than you are.
And if I'm going to be completely fair to them, that will be probably a huge shock and a very painful thing to experience. Like, imagine thinking you're like this really important person, and then it just deflates one day.
If anything, they're improving the quality of Twitter by leaving.
Can we talk about then the proposed 4D chess move to...
Yes. So
modify the culture? Okay, guys.
I have this. So this is a post from Elon Musk. This is yesterday. No, this is today. This is this morning. So it says he made a poll on Instagram that said, bring back Vine? And then he just asked yes or no, to which Mr. Beast responded, if you did and that actually competed with TikTok, that'd be hilarious. And then this is what I love about Elon Musk. He's open source. Like, he's just asking questions. What can we do to make Vine better? To make it better than TikTok. Like, he's already more of a man of the people than anyone on Twitter has been in the last 10 years by asking a question like this. A very simple question, mind you. To which then Mr. Beast says, no one is original anymore. Whatever you do will be on every other platform the next month unless it has a deep moat. YouTube has Shorts, Instagram has Reels, Reddit, Snapchat, Facebook, all copied TikTok. Whatever you do, make it hard to copy or it's a waste of time, in my opinion. I also like that the next person then just responded to that, like with the exact same thing.
Incredibly astute of Mr. Beast.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about A, that, and B, the rumor that verification will be a feature, not a privilege in the future, that will be only granted if you are a paying member of Twitter.
Yeah.
And I understand how initially that might seem as rough, but from a marketing perspective, I don't want to get into the political at all. I just want to, from a marketing perspective, how that could, in a way, heal the arts and culture. Right now, the arts and general society is held ransom by advertisers because our
eyes on the product is currency.
Because our central platforms all depend on the revenues of advertisers. So when certain people choose to protest and tell advertisers that they're not gonna buy their product should they endorse X, Y, and Z, advertisers they always cave for God knows why. And it affects the product, thus affecting the culture. Here's why subscription methods help, in a way, culture. Because when you subscribe and you become a patron to the thing that you want, your opinion is what matters. And the opinion of the people that are putting up instead of waiting for someone else to do it for them. That way, me, Dane Font, and people who are like-minded, we can push back against the lunacy that is spreading across the world, and we can be, listen, I understand that normally this would be the common opinion, the correct opinion, the current thing, whatever. You lose my money as a patron if you choose to bow down to this. Because the people that like the project are there for the project typically, instead of their political or social,
So is the idea here that people would have to pay to see other people's tweets? Like, I know
they already have.
I know there's Twitter Blue
competitor,
and I know there's Twitter Blue, and I also know that Elon Musk has talked about opening their own version of other aspects, like its own marketplace, to make Twitter more versatile, right? Are you saying that you want people like if you have a subscription based Twitter, then people can only follow you if they pay money to see it?
So I'm talking about, in my example, I'm talking about subscription methods in general for consumption of art products.
So they would have to just for Twitter overall.
In Twitter, the thing that I think it does good is that it'll level the playing field in the sense that right now, I'm still Dane Font, and you're still Mary Morgan, and you're still Brett Dasovic, regardless of if we have the correct politics or not. So, and the feature is supposed to describe that this is actually legendary Giga Chad Dane Font. Okay? So, but I don't have a friend that works at Twitter, thus I can't get verified. Yeah. And regardless of the fact that I'm only followed by fake account bots, it still doesn't mean that that's not me.
Yeah.
So, with Twitter Blue and changing verification to that, it does several things. Number one, people, if you want the verification, it's not a privilege, it's a feature. And B, you have to verify your information. So it makes harder for bots to claim that they are people. And so in that way, because when you become of a certain enough prevalence or prestige, it behooves you to verify yourself as the opinion of X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
So people stop speaking for you. And it gets off this whole, why isn't, just to give an example, I'm sorry if it's political, why wasn't James O'Keefe verified on Twitter? Well, because he didn't have the right thing, but it's still him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, so in that case, it's why I think it works for Twitter. But in terms of culture, I think that taking away powers from advertisers and bringing it to the consumer as much as possible is the way out of this, 100%.
Okay. Mary, thoughts?
I mean, it's an interesting idea, but I don't know if you're ever going to get to a point where, like, I don't think that subscriber model is going to work.
They would have to enhance their content.
It also it kind of undermines what verification is about anyway. Like, it's supposed to be just factually verifying that this person is who they claim to be,
Yeah.
not anything about their investment in what this platform is for.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I think it's because, so to truly verify someone, you need to check like certain documents, correct?
I think they just had to hold up a picture.
Well, that's
verifying
Instagram. On Twitter, what you have to do, what they say, this isn't always true because of the bias in.
You have to send an
people
email explaining why you are a person of.
Well, it has to include media. It has to include media
Right.
that mentions you or is about you. That's Twitter's way that they do it. Instagram is different.
So also
I hate this because it involves giving money to a big tech platform. No matter who it belongs to, I don't trust it.
well, like Instagram has subscriptions now, so people can exclusively
All of them
sign
do.
up for your
Yeah.
content. They're all becoming OnlyFans. It's just not porn OnlyFans.
They're all becoming TikTok and
Yeah.
OnlyFans, and then eventually TikTok and OnlyFans are going to be the same thing.
But I think the financial.
Only talks.
And
Ugh.
I don't want to carry water for Elon Musk, but I'm saying the financial why finance helps, even if it were $1. Let's say not 20 but $1. Even if it were $1 a month, you're not gonna pay $1 for your thousands of bots
Yeah.
a month to portray something or a person that's not real.
So-
maybe interests that can spare that cash and wanna like create dissent can afford so, but like the common man just doing like some hate campaign, they won't do it.
Okay.
And they will have-
well, we'd have to see in real time, but like, I don't know.
I don't think it doesn't stop.
Whatever.
None of it stops the influence Twitter has because
Yeah.
let's face it, as much as it's annoying what these celebrities say on here, right? Journalists are still going to use curated Twitter lists of comments and hot takes as a way of marketing something as more popular or less popular than they want it to be, right? So remember how many times we see articles where it's like the internet is mad at so and so, and it's just some dude. It's just one guy named Joe Blow 32 who doesn't have.
What happened to Joe Schmo 32? By
Is
the
that
way,
it's yeah, he's his brother. It's his
Joe
brother.
Blow.
Can we take it then out of the social media conversation and take it to like a movie? Let's say that independent movie studios start depending way more on subscriber versions of funded movies instead of like mega studio movies. That way, they're doing a biopic of pop culture crisis, and they choose to put a Latinx chick in a wheelchair to play me,
To play me,
to play Brett.
they can gender swap me if they want, I guess.
But the fans are like, no, you gotta put a absolute legendary Giga Chad to play Brett, and we could pull out of the project because, as we're learning about it, I disagree. Like, I don't want to fund this.
Who's gonna play Dane in a movie? Who plays either of you two?
Only
well,
Will
right
Smith.
now, the model for that is to, if you don't agree with what Twitter is doing, to deactivate your account and leave and not come back. And not only that, don't announce it. Don't talk about the fact that you're leaving. Don't make a big show of it, because if you do, then you're just giving more traffic to the website,
Yeah.
and your boycott becomes useless, and it's more about self-aggrandizing.
Yeah.
That's what you can do right now if you actually oppose what Twitter is doing.
Yep.
We're not ever going to see them actually have principles if that's what you're suggesting. So it's kind of a useless debate.
I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting thing to think about because it would be fun to see what they could do with Vine if you tried to like do the impossible and make Vine relevant again by making it more of an integrated part of your Twitter.
Well, they had Periscope.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I completely
Integrated with your
Yeah.
timeline, like
Holy
people who were going live on Periscope. I would love to see, since they brought up, Spaces to mirror Clubhouse, maybe Spaces could, be sort of like what Periscope was, but inviting people into, like a party.
I completely
like
forgot about
of live streams.
Periscope. Holy crap!
Yeah, right.
That was
Like
a
that was a
thing.
thing.
Josh Gad says large exodus happening on this platform. Not sure if I stay or not. Leaning towards staying, but if today is a sign of things to come, not sure what the point is. Freedom of speech is great. Are you ready for the qualifying statement? As we all know it's
But-
coming. Hate speech intended to incite harm with no consequences ain't what I signed up for. They never define what the hell that means. It intended to mean harm. Does that mean like, Josh Gad, I think you're stupid? Did I intend you harm there? No, I just called you stupid. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but hate speech is never okay, is basically what they're saying. Because they're all babies. They're all childish babies who don't know. Like, here's the thing. If you don't, like, I don't like it when people say mean things about me, but you understand that that's part of what you sign up for when you do this, and you don't have to read it. Like, the block button's a thing. The mute button is a thing. You can sector yourself
also
off.
a life outside of Twitter is a thing.
Is a
Celebrities don't know that.
Yes.
But yeah, there is something that exists outside of people's opinions about you and what you post.
But they can't do it. They're too self-absorbed, and that's Hollywood culture as a whole, though. Like, that doesn't seem all that strange to me. But it's like
Twitter is just one of their favorite like tools to commandeer what people are talking about.
All right.
This whole topic is depressing me. Let's talk about Halloween.
Let's talk about Halloween. So we have the best celebrity Halloween costumes of 2022, guys.
Not necessarily the best.
This
but
is
just
their definition
the
of
weirdest.
The best. Yeah.
maybe.
So this is what they call the
I
best.
loved Paris Hilton's.
That was the best one.
I don't think that one's. is that the
She was
Sailor
in the
Moon.
Sailor Moon? Not the Janelle Monáe one. There's a lot of work went into that Janelle Monáe one. She went all out from The Fifth Element, and then we've got. We'll get to Kim in a bit. We'll get to Kim in a bit.
Lizzo's was absolutely terrifying.
Look, here's Lizzo up here, guys.
As Marge Simpson.
As Marge Simpson.
Yeah.
Homer is the big one, not her. Don't they know that? So here we've got Henry Golding as we can see from Top Gun Maverick. There's a lot of people who went.
Right.
I wonder if he left the Hong Kong patch on there, or if he. We'll see. And then we have this. We have Megan Fox and Soy. and
he has a name.
If you imagined what Tommy Lee would look like if he was infused with soy, that's what you have here with Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, it's Pamela Anderson, Megan Fox, and Tommy Lee, MGK.
Imagine being told, "Hey, pose for a picture," and you're like, "This is my pose."
And he's like, "Look at me. I have literally no testosterone."
Yeah.
Like,
If you compare the real pictures that they were posing as of Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, you'll just see soy, not soy. Soy, not soy.
Here's also we have Machine Gun Kelly snorting what they called a white powder off of Megan Fox's titties.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is culture.
I love the idea that they're like, well, it's probably fake. I'm like, is it really though?
No.
Like, is it really?
If it's fake, he's still snorting a foreign substance.
Yeah,
like what?
Jonah Hill went to the hospital from snorting fake cocaine on the set of Wolf of Wall Street.
Neither are a good
Really?
thing.
No. It was like,
And also, I think MGK had a second costume where he dressed up as a priest.
Yeah.
And fed Megan Fox a fake Eucharist
and we also
wafer,
here
which is highly offensive.
And we have Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton as Sailor Moon is adorable.
She rolls.
I love that she still stands for the fact that like we can have hot blondes.
You can still be a blonde and hot in society,
and you don't have to get a BBL.
Nope. And then we have Wiz
a
Khalifa.
Brazilian butt lift.
Oh.
It's that surgery where they take all the fat from your stomach and then stuck it like right in your butt, and then you have to be in a wheelchair for like a month.
This is culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So that's what all the Kardashians have gotten. But thankfully Paris hasn't.
Yep.
It would look actually alien if she did.
And speaking of alien, Tyga went as E.T., which is incredible. Like that mask is really good. I wonder how hard it was to see.
I don't know. It seems relatively low effort.
I like it.
Like he just went to Spirit and called it a day.
And then we have Rebel Wilson, Ramona Agruma, Jacob Marissa Montgomery, and Carly Steele went as Barbies. I mean, imagine like there was already a couple of them, but next year there's going to be so many Barbie and Ken costumes that are going to be taken from the Barbie movie. Next year. And then Stephen Amell and his wife went as the cast from Castaway. If anybody saw Castaway, I love Stephen Amell, guys.
That's cute.
He's still great. And then we have Vanessa Hudgens. We go down here.
Vanessa Hudgens' real bag is Coachella. Every year at Coachella, she's like the poster girl for it.
That's her. And then we have Taylor Lautner as a shirtless skeleton. Like you said, low effort.
Why is
low effort is mine today, which is nothing.
Why is he still shirtless after Twilight? Like, haven't you had enough, man?
Did you see the thing where his wife said that she was Team Edward?
Really?
And, like on their wedding day.
That's funny. You know, her name's also Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor Lautner and Taylor Lautner.
Yep.
That would be you if you married Brett Cooper.
If only I'd have to grow a couple of inches, but you know. We're working
No, you're still a king.
and then we have Leslie Mann and Judd Apatow. So we've got some decent ones here. The Machine Gun Kelly one, he really does. Like if you look at him, do we have the one of him where they talk about where they show the pictures of Tommy Lee? I don't think we have that one.
It's on her Instagram.
Okay.
And
Machine Gun Kelly's the ultimate. Like, you care about him now. He is a celebrity, and you.
It's
should
in
care
this
about
one.
him.
It's her Instagram post is there.
Here.
No, below
You guys
the
remember? He
video.
used to be a rapper.
This. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
MGK? Yeah, of course.
He used to be a
There's
rapper.
Tommy Lee. Like, look how much more manly.
Yeah. Just do a little side by side there.
One, the other.
Yeah.
I
I mean, even Pamela Anderson looks better than Megan Fox here.
Absolutely.
Disagree.
Disagree to disagree. So it is what it is. No offensive costumes. I saw. Somebody point.
MGK's costume as a priest is offensive. I reserve the right to be offended by that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Because again, it's like you are dressing up as something that subverts a system which is no longer in power simply because of the hate in your heart.
Yeah.
That's what's going on there. That's your business. I'm not talking about like putting you in jail for it, but that's just admit that's your motivation for doing that.
Also, we have two Kim Kardashians today. We have the first one, which is where she got in trouble for dressing up as Aaliyah
at her 42nd birthday party.
Which
looking
is,
good, Kim.
She looks pretty fire.
But she was wearing the exact same outfit as Aaliyah. I don't know if it's a replica or exactly the same.
Well, given
one
her
that she
Marilyn
owned.
given her Marilyn Monroe thing, maybe she just got the same one.
It just shows that she's so calculated because she's already been torn apart in the media once for disrespecting another dead woman, and then did it again because she wants to like weaponize people's anger at her.
And not just that, we have this one, which is Kim Kardashian transforms herself into X-Men's Mystique for Halloween. Internet asks Marvel to cast her. Here's the problem.
No.
She already had an article. It was about a month ago. It was a little bit ago.
She already commissioned an article titled, Kim Kardashian would gladly take some of that sweet Marvel cash.
Yes. And so she's created by an algorithm where she's like, what should I do for Halloween? And they're like, well,
just think about the like board meetings that are done about what the Kardashians should dress up as for Halloween.
She's like, what are the
and
X-Men?
their children.
I keep saying God works in mysterious ways, and lucky Kanye.
She knows that they're about to incorporate the X-Men into Marvel, into the MCU.
Yep.
So she was thinking, this is my perfect chance to vie for one of those roles. Replacing Jennifer Lawrence,
who never liked wearing the makeup anyway. So Kim's like, I love makeup. I'll wear the makeup every day.
What a great Kim Kardashian impression.
When she was asked about it, she said, would I act? I would if something fun came about. Maybe a Marvel movie. That would be so fun.
Like
I'm not actively looking, but I think things just come when they're supposed to.
I guarantee you she's never watched a Marvel movie in
Except
her
your
entire
boyfriend,
life.
Skeet Davidson.
Like, she's never seen a Marvel movie in her entire life. She's like, what the hell is She-Hulk? I thought he was just a Hulk. Like,
no, I buy that she's into it. People hated when she posted that Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Spoiler on her Instagram story.
Instagram
They're like, I've never watched Kim Kardashian's Instagram story in my life, but the one day that I do, you post a spoiler for this movie that I wanted to see. F you.
Night Call says she's hot as Mystique, but I don't know. I see her as a music video chick. Sorry. Yes, me too, my friend.
True.
And I'm completely fine with that. As the resident Kim Kardashian stan of this podcast, I still don't want her going anywhere near comic book movies. Like, if we're supposed to be talking about...
She looks enough like a mutant as it is. Why does she need to play into it?
Use your platform to continue corrupting the youth. Like, you're killing it. Like,
she also dressed her kids up as celebrities that her kids definitely don't know exist.
Like
which
who?
Well, North dressed up as Aaliyah.
Okay.
I think one of them dressed up as Eazy-E. Another one as Snoop Dogg, maybe?
It'd be cool if she dressed one of them up as Kanye.
Oh, that would be too meta. But yeah, her kid, like, don't tell me that your 10-year-old knows who Aaliyah is. Stop.
Yes.
Like, you're just using your kids as purse puppies.
I barely remember.
Hey, leave Aaliyah
I'm
alone.
not trying to be insulting. I'm telling you, I barely remember.
You know, some people think that was like a
Yep.
conspired event. That
Maybe-
plane crash.
Maybe R. Kelly commissioned it after everything that happened with him. Could be.
Interesting.
Never know. All right. Let's go. We got a couple of super chats there.
Oh, Eric Otterly said, have any of you seen Z Nation? It's a comedy horror TV series on Sci-Fi going for 5 seasons. It's a fun watch. You should see Smile. It's a good horror movie. Yeah, I wanted to see Smile because they did a good job marketing for it.
I do need to.
They really did.
I do need to see Z Nation. I've heard that's another one of those shows that I've heard people tell me that I need to see, and I just haven't. Comedy horror is kind of all right for me. Plus, it's like it's network. It's network gore, so it's not going to be like actual gore.
Every year, there's some boring horror movie that has the same theme: possession. It's always demon possession in like a convent or something. And there's another one coming out this year. I don't even remember the
do
name
those
of
bother you? Do you find those films blasphemous?
I mean, even if they're not blasphemous, they're just stupid because the reality of demon possession is like so much more interesting than the fake kind.
Yeah. So they don't actually even like.
You could make something accurate to the stories that are told about it that's way more interesting than anything a Hollywood writer's room could come up with, but they choose to dramatize it in a way that's like way less interesting on purpose every
kind
time.
of lower IQ.
Yeah, they dumb it down.
All right.
F off said, hit me up if y'all want to order some custom pop culture jewelry to celebrate your success. Tim can write it off in taxes since it will be used to promote your show.
I don't know if I'm garish enough to wear like.
Garish.
F off,
Wow.
send me a DM on Twitter, dude. At Dane Font. DaneFont. I'd like to talk with you.
I don't know if I would
Okay.
wear I wear a necklace that. Thank you. That's about as far as I can go. I think
I'm open to
just
the
a big
idea.
like chain that spins that says Pop Culture Crisis on it.
Show us your ideas, F off. We're interested. Nathan Settlemeyer said, no
Roe v. Wade.
Roe v. Wade themed costumes. Are they even woke?
I wanted to.
You wanted to custom print shirts that say Roe and Wade.
Yeah,
But which
and-
one would we be?
I would be Roe. No, you could be Roe. I would be Wade, and then Dane could be the V in between it.
V,
And
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
like
yeah.
that we print them on Handmaid's Tale outfits,
Mm-hmm.
And then we go around and like drop the scalpel, and we just pull scalpels out of people's hands. Yeah, like
We've already made too many messed up jokes about abortion behind closed doors for that.
that's great.
Potatoes for Seamus said, Bad App, when are we going to Taco Bell? I don't know if he swings that way, dude.
Whoa.
Wait, is Taco Bell indicative of something? Can't they just be bros going to Taco Bell?
Can bros cuddle?
No, they cannot. Do not let the
There you
weird
go.
feminists. What does that have to do with going to Taco Bell?
I mean, there's the implication, right?
Okay.
The
Well, it's like
implications.
It's about the
Taco Bell and-
implication when you go to Taco Bell.
Taco
It's
Bell and
like
chill. That's a thing. I didn't know
You
that.
know.
I didn't know that. All right.
The implication.
All right, guys. Dane, my friend, let everyone know where they can find you.
Hello, everyone. You can find me at Dane Font, DaneFon as in no T, on Twitter.
Where they can hit you up about jewelry.
We're F off.
Yeah, I can hit you up about jewelry. All right. Mary, where can they find you this Hallows Eve? Oh,
You
there's
can-
one more there
Oh.
before.
Where is this?
Two just came up.
Oh, F off said, it's going to look like a straight up bot account. I have never used Twitter. I got you, Dane. Watch out for that DM then. Did you say there's two other
There's two more.
ones?
There's one more. One more from Potatoes for Seamus. Oh, he says, Brett, we must know, what are you dressing up as? I'm not dressing up. I was just going to go as Kanye because he wears all black all the time, but I don't have any faded black jeans. So I'm not a Halloween
You're
person.
anti.
Sexy
black
Brett
jeans.
Daswick.
Yeah, that's every day. You know, every day.
All right. You can find me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and you can find me on Twitter also at Mary Archived. This is the last day of the Jeremy's Razors
competition
for 250K. We have our referral link in the description if you're interested. Gives you a pretty big chunk off of a Daily Wire Plus membership, and it helps us earn points last minute. If you're interested, I am going to shill for that one last time. And also submit more memes to our subreddit for our next meme review. I am very excited for when that happens.
Also, I've heard that we have that somebody set up a Discord, but we did not set that up. That was not
unofficial. Join at your own risk.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say. I've heard bad things about Discord and what goes on there.
All right. Guys, I want to let you know one more time. We are off after today until Friday. We will be back Friday's episode. We're going to have Ian and we're going to have Carter on. They've got some stuff they want to talk about with us. We're going to have a lot of fun that day. But we'll keep you updated. If anything changes, we will keep you updated through posts on the community tab here on Instagram. But if you'd like to follow me in the meantime before then. Oh, Mary, did you do your outro?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah,
no,
I just did.
Yeah, I thought you started with Jeremy's Razors. I didn't know if you actually got to your social medias.
I did.
Okay.
Well, you just weren't listening.
My brain is shutting off today.
Brett's losing it.
No, I'm losing it, guys. I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure everybody gets their stuff in. So if you want to follow me in the meantime on Instagram at Brett Dasvik, like I said, we will be back after today on Friday. But for now, we're normally 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. But the shows are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch. And then Bad App sends one more super chat. Says PCC will be out for a few days for our Taco Bell wedding.
False.
Mary, thought
this is fake news.
No, not true.
You're debunked.
All right.
If you knew her, it would be at Waffle House. First of all.
So true.
And then one.
We have more.
One more from Matt.
Matt said headed on Skid Row. Wait, what?
Oh, White Lives Matter shirts.
Oh, White Lives Matter shirts. Yeah, I mean, if we could find them anywhere.
Be good. So guys, like I said, on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. Or if you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Have a happy Halloween, guys, and we'll see you on Friday. Later, guys.
Bye.